Black Girl Health Foundation presents Minds Matter Harrisburg in partnership with Dauphin County Library System. Presented by Platinum Sponsor for 2023, Penn State Health and Highmark. Additional sponsors include UPMC Central PA and UPMC Health Plan, Aetna, The Hershey Company, Giant, Hershey Entertainment and Resorts, Capital Blue Cross, and Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency. Now your host, the founder and executive director of Black Girl Health Foundation.
Hello, guys. How are you guys doing this weekend? I hope you're doing fine and happy New Year. It's so great to be back in Harrisburg and doing Minds Matter Harrisburg for the fourth year in a row. I would love to thank Dauphin County because this is a partnership with Dauphin County and they have helped to make this possible. So big thanks to Dauphin County Library System. I would also like to thank all our sponsors. You've heard us list them all right before I came on. They also help to make this possible year after year after year. Minds Matter Harrisburg is about improving the mental health of Black women and girls. That's what we're about, y'all. It's so important. And our mental health has been tested. It's been tested with COVID. It's been tested with, our careers, economics, financial struggles. It's been tested with our health. It's been tested with raising children. It's been tested with our significant others. We're tested every single day. And this show and this program is about not only helping know the signs and the symptoms and feeling comfortable with getting help, but it's also about learning those resources that are out there to help you. There are African-American, health professionals that are out there that, can help you improve your quality of life. It's also about not just thinking that mental health is just a singular problem, right? This program is also about looking at the holistic picture, all the things that could be contributing to your mental health issues. We want you to think. We want you to really think when you're listening to our program and really take down notes, because you're going to learn a lot about the things that you do every day, the things that you consume, and how that could be affecting your mental health. So this is the first event of two. This is a hybrid this year. This is the first time this year that we, since COVID, that we're now doing also an in-person event. So that is next week. So the virtual is today. Next Saturday is the in-person in Harrisburg. So if you're not registered, go to the website, mindsmatter.blackgirlhealthfoundation.org. We're going to actually put it in the comments. Ladies, my staff, definitely put it in the comments. Minds Matter on the Facebook comments. If you're watching this on Facebook, mindsmatter.blackgirlhealthfoundation.org. You can go there to register for the in-person event. So that'll be fun. Also, I want to talk about a little bit about what we're doing and how you can get involved before we get into the workshops. Before I forget, if you are not signed up for our newsletter so you can hear about the different events that we're doing, I want you to sign up. That'll also be in the comments. We're going to put a link in the comments. So check out if you're watching this on Facebook, you will see where you can sign up for our newsletter so you won't miss any of our events. Also, we're dropping an app. We're dropping a mobile app, y'all. Black Girl Health app. That's how you can become a member, is when you're signed up for the app. It's completely free. There's no paywall for most people, right? If you want to be a partner on the app, that means if you're a health professional and you want to do your own events on the app, you want to sell your stuff on the app, there is a fee for that. But to be a part of our sisterhood, totally free, and it's all going to be done through our app that we're dropping this year in 2023. So we're really excited about that. The other thing is we are now an outpatient mental health clinic, y'all. We're a health provider. Yes, Black Girl Health Foundation is also a health provider. So you will also see that link if you want mental health services. If you want a therapist, you would go to the bghclinic.com. We'll put that link also in the notes, in the Facebook chat as well. And if you want to donate to our cause, if you want to donate, we definitely encourage people to support our mission and our campaigns and what we're doing. We'll put that link also where you can donate. So there's going to be a lot of links, and you'll see them in the Facebook chats. You will also see some of them periodically pop up on the screen. So take note, and you can support us in any way. Now let's get to the workshops, right? So what can you expect? So we have Mastering the Power of You, which is our first workshop that is going to come up. We have Overcoming Generational Trauma, and we have Nutrition for the Mind and Soul. So we have these workshops coming up that will help you manage your mental health, help you look at the things that you're putting in your body and your nutrition and how that's affecting your mental health. Then we also have workshops targeting and really focusing on the trauma in your life. And making that more transparent so that you can start to heal. So we're covering all avenues, okay? We're covering all avenues, y'all. And don't forget, again, if you're more into fitness and that sort of thing, then next week on Saturday, we're doing our in-person portion of Minds Matter Harrisburg. So without further ado, am I talking too much, y'all? Because I have a tendency to do that. I try to get it all in. I just try to get it all in. So just forgive me. Please forgive me. But without further ado, and please, comment, ladies, please comment. I want to know that you're here. So our instructors want you to comment. Our speakers want you to comment. Feel free to comment. Now let's get started. I'm going to start off with our kickoff speaker, who is Miss Jo Morgan. Hello.
Hey, Portia.
Hey, Jo. I'm so excited for you to be here with us today and support our mission. Jo is an author. She's a certified holistic health coach. She has her own behavioral health center as well. And, when I talked earlier about mental health being tested, she's the one for it. I know her mental health was definitely tested through a lot of different struggles that she was faced with when it comes to her and her family. And I am just I've been waiting for this moment to hear your story, because I know it's impactful. I know it's empowering, and I can't wait for everybody else to hear it. So without me giving anything else away, Jo, I'm going to let you take it from there.
Hey, ladies, I'm so excited to be here, especially being the kickoff speaker. Like, I've been called to be the one to get you pumped about this, and you should. And I want you to know it's not because of my accolades. It's not because I have a behavioral health clinic or that I'm a certified holistic health and wellness coach or a yoga instructor or did life coaching, blah, blah, blah. I am your kickoff speaker because I have personal experience. Okay, I have personal experience and can personally tell you why mental health is important for Black women. Okay, so I'm going to go back a little bit, tell you a little bit about my story. I'm going to try not to, how Portia say, I can ramble too. Okay, so I'll give you a little bit. In 2003, I was going through what I thought was like a major depression and something I could probably just snap out of. It began to get concerning because I began to abuse my children. Okay. Physically, mentally, emotionally. I was neglectful. I wasn't feeding them. I wasn't eating myself. I wasn't bathing. I wasn't taking care of myself. I would just sit in a bed and I would cry. And I was just this angry person. And I just thought, well, one day I'm just going to snap out of it. One day it's going to snap out, until one day I wrote a letter to my mom. Okay, I wrote a letter and left it in my apartment. And I said, I can't take this life anymore. I can't live in this world anymore. I'm ready to go. And I left the house with my kids with the intent to drive over a cliff and end my life and my children. Somehow, some way, miraculously, I ended up over a relative house. And I told her, I said, I don't know how I got here. I don't know how I got here. I left the house to end it for me and my family. I wanted to end it for me and my family. And she didn't say much. She just said, let's just eat. And she just let me just talk. And then another friend that's a friend to both of us, this was my cousin, but a friend to both of us, she said, you need help. You need help. So what I did was I went to the emergency room and I said, I was going to take me and my children out of here. I don't know what's wrong with me. Please help me. I was then hospitalized for 2 weeks. It was in Maryland at a hospital in Maryland. I was hospitalized in the psych ward for 2 weeks, and it was a lot. But it was there that I received the diagnosis of bipolar and BPD, which later, I was told I had PTSD. Um, when I was a little girl, my mom, she didn't curse. She was like one of those type that my brother and I called it. She used big words. And she would fuss us out. We did something. She would fuss us out in these big words. And we were like, what did that mean? She said, we have a ton of encyclopedias and dictionaries. Look it up. And I used that. And I looked up PTSD. I looked up bipolar. I looked up BPD because I wanted to know what they were calling me. I wanted to know what these big words were. And I began to learn and I began to research. And I began to, and I missed the part that my kids were taken. My kids were taken from me. They were with friends and family. But I began to learn what it was they were telling me that I had that was causing me to be this horrible mom, horrible person to myself, horrible daughter, horrible friend, horrible family member, And I began to learn what it is that I was dealing with. Then I began to learn myself. And I said to myself, I need to master this. I need to know what my triggers are, how I can manage this aside, not just with medication and with therapy. How can I manage myself when I feel like I'm getting to a certain point? How do I recognize it? I need to know everything about these mental illness, these diagnoses. And I did just that. And I did the work and I worked hard. Okay. This was back in 2003. I worked hard. Long story short, my kids were back with me in a month. The social worker said, I've never seen a mother fight as hard as you fought to get your kids back. You understand? But it didn't stop there. I continued with therapy. I continued to do the research. I continued to fight to be the mom that my kids deserve. I began to deal with the trauma in my life that I tried to ignore, that I tried to say, oh, it's behind me. It left no residue, but it did. We got to deal with it. We got to accept it. We got to deal with it. And I did the work. So I'm becoming a better mom. I'm taking care of myself. I'm becoming a better friend, a better family member. Next thing you know, I'm being asked, like, how are you able to do this? Can you teach other people? And in 2005, I began life coaching and I began helping women with the diagnosis bipolar and PTSD and BPD. I began teaching them how to find their happiness, how to find their joy, how to find peace, how to deal with trauma effectively, how to be a mom with the history of trauma, with the diagnosis, and I began to do the work. I began to help, and trust me, it wasn't just me alone. This wasn't a journey I did alone. I had a support system. I have family and I have friends that supported me, because this is not something you can do alone. So when Portia said, sign up and look for that app, you look for it, because we need a sisterhood. We need a sisterhood. We need people around us that understand what we're going through and that can help us overcome. Okay? This world is already set against us as Black women, period. This world is already set against us to fail in career, in business, in life, in parenting, in love. It's already set. And don't get me started on the healthcare system, But in order to combat, we need to make sure one of our strongest weapons is sharp and it's intact. And that's our mind. That's our mind. And that's why organizations like this, they are created. This was created for that reason. Women who look like us that can help us sharpen one of our strongest weapons, so we can combat the things that are against us and we can win. Okay. And we can win. And I remember saying to my daughter, who is now 25 years old, at the time, I think she was what, 3, 4. But I said to her, and she's a mom now, I said to her, I just want to apologize for all the pain I caused you. She said, Mom, don't you dare. Don't you dare. You are the strongest woman I know because you fought. You fought like heck to be the mother we deserve, to be the woman. And I could not be proud of you more. I cannot be proud. So if any of you are going through that, sign up, connect with the sister, get in the chat like, hey, who's in this area? Who's in that area? I need somebody, I need help. And if you want my services or what I can offer, I'm here. If you're in York, Adams County, or Lancaster, my website is www.ashantysheart.com. Again, www.ashantysheart.com. And what is Instagram? Yours truly, Joe Morgan. I would love to help. I am successful at what I do, and I'm successful at helping people because I had to go through it myself. It's not all the certifications, all the educations, because I did the work. You have to say, I choose, and you choose. So you have a great panel of speakers today at this conference, taking everything that they have. Everything. It's some amazing women about to drop some jewels on you, okay? Today is the first day of the rest of your life. And again, if you want my services, I'm here. Or any of these women, you take advantage of that, okay? Because we understand. I see you. We understand, okay? Now, before we kick this thing off, when I was a little girl, my parents and their friends, we would get together with their kids, whatever, once a month, and we would study a different country in Africa. We had to, somebody was in, one of the kids had to do the population, someone had to do religion, culture, we had different things, and then we had to share our talent. We did this once a month growing up for many years. But before we started, every month before we started, we did a chant. And to this day, I was a little girl, to this day, I always use this chant. I even begin my services with the individuals that come to my program. I started off with them because this is something that stuck with me. So before we get started, I would like to do it with you guys. I'm going to say a line, and I know I can't hear you, but I trust you're doing it. And I want you to repeat that line right after I say it with enthusiasm, with force, and believe what you're saying. You understand? Try to believe it. And if you can't, fake it till you make it, honey. Okay, you ready? I feel good about myself. I feel good about the people around me. Because I walk with good. And I talk with good. And I am good. Good, better, best. Never let it rest until my good is my better and my better is my best. Harambe. And I look forward to meeting who I'm supposed to meet, connecting with who I'm supposed to connect with. Until then, enjoy, take in. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. Back to you, Portia.
Well, thank you so much, Joe. I mean, first day for the rest of your life. Think of that. That's very powerful, Joe. The first day for the rest of your life. No matter what you did in the past and the struggles in the past, make this the first day, a new step.
Yes.
That will change the trajectory of your life. Joe, I love it. I just meant to ask, did you ever feel like, when people are diagnosing you with bipolar and all these different things, did you ever feel like you were isolated, like you were not normal because they, because they're trying to put, oh,
Absolutely.
You're bipolar, you're this. I mean, mentally, not only getting your kids taken away, but feeling like something's wrong with me.
Yes.
And I'm different from the rest of the world. Did you ever feel that way? And how did you subconsciously, what did you have to tell yourself? I am normal. What did you do to overcome that?
First, I had to accept it.
Okay.
And accepting it came by understanding it. Like I am a firm believer that you just can't tell me something. You know, I'm like that even when I go to church. I hear the word. I'm like, let me go back and read this and see what I get from it.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that is understanding it. Second, I had a very strong support system because I was a mess. I always thought people were talking about me, people were against me, and I snapped. Like, what's up? You got something you want to say? People like, huh? We here to help you. So you have to then embrace your help, allow yourself to be loved through it and have a support system, because mental health is not something you can take on alone. And that's period, point blank. You cannot take it on alone. And if you have people who love you, but they are still not understanding, educate them too. Like, hey, would you like to go to therapy with me? Or like I have psychiatric rehabilitation. I deal with individuals and their family as well. Like, hey, come understand what it is I'm going through so you can effectively know how to support me in my growth. And that's what it took. It took a lot of work, but you got to choose to want to do the work. And my why was my children, because I did not want them to have the same testimony. My daughter is a great mom to my granddaughter. And that's because I did the work first.
That's, that's so powerful, Joe. And especially that keyword support system. And I think people are scared to get that support system as well, whether it's a therapist, whether it's your mom, whether it's whoever it is. But everyone needs someone. And I see that definitely you had that and made sure that was a priority to get that.
Priority. Yes.
So Joe, again, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for taking the time, and thank you for supporting us.
Yeah, we gotta support each other. Who else gonna do it but us?
Absolutely.
You got me, I got you, sis. We got each other.
All right, Joe. Well, have a great weekend, and thank you again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, y'all. So don't leave. Okay, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back. Mastering the power of you. Perfect timing. Mastering the power of you is next, right after the break.
This is Harrisburg and Hershey, West Shore and Wyomissing, Lancaster and Lingelstown. This is hardworking people, growing families, and communities that look out for each other. This is celebrating life and Friday night lights. This is hope, heart, and heroes. This is who we are. This is how we lift each other up. This is the health we need to live the way we want. This is Penn State Health. Learn more at pennstatehealth.org.
More choices, more laughter, more time to play, and less need to worry. At Capital Blue Cross, we're driven by a simple goal: to go the extra mile for you through all of life's ups and downs, and to always be there when you need us. Capital Blue Cross, going the extra mile for you.
I arrive about 4:45 in the morning, grab my keys, and begin my route. Everyone has a seat on my bus. Some get fist bumps, some get handshakes, some get high fives. They know you're sincerely there to really help them. And when they feel that, it really makes you want to do a great job.
Feel like yourself again. The mother, the lover, the friend. Feel like yourself again, not tired and exhausted and at your wit's end. Feel like yourself again, having fun, loving yourself and others. Feel like yourself again. It's time to heal and live.
If you or someone you know is struggling with their mental well-being,
Book an appointment today at the BGH Clinic for Women's Health, a safe space for women of color to take control of their mental well-being and feel like themselves again.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is Dr. K.L. Gash, and I will be talking about in the next 30 minutes is mastering the power of you. This is such an amazing event, and I am so humbled and honored to be with you today. And it is so funny because every time I speak, I have all these notes and I'm ready and have everything together. And then for whatever reason, my notes don't come up, my computer locks. So I really just feel like God just wants me to speak into you today, to speak into your life, to give you some nuggets of how I can help you to learn how to mastering the power of you. And so that is such a profound word, mastering, which means that it is ongoing, which means that it is not a destination, that it is a journey. It's very similar to when doctors are saying that they are practicing medicine, that they are, or attorneys are practicing law. It is not something that is concrete or confined. It is it's evolutionary. It's ever going. It's ever changing. And so that is where we're going to focus on, is mastering the power of you inside of you. So let's go ahead, Ryan. Let's get into these PowerPoints so we can help our sisters today. So here's a little bit about me. I am a licensed clinical social work psychotherapist in Virginia, Pennsylvania, Florida, North Carolina, and Maryland. So I do have an MSW and a doctorate in social work. I am board certified in social work. I do addictions. I am a trauma specialist. I do it all over here. I'm a trainer. I'm a consultant. I'm a life coach. But the greatest thing that I am right now, I am your sister. And not only do I teach a lot about emotional wellness and mindfulness and trauma, I'm also concerned about your whole well-being, a holistic. How is your environment? How is your spirit man? How is your physical man? So I'm so glad today that we're focusing on all parts of you and not just one part of you. Ryan? So I want you to know that today the disclaimer presented is for informational purposes. It is not for you to diagnose yourself or diagnose someone else. This is just information that might sound familiar to you. And if it is, I want you to dig deeper into that. I want you to seek out someone similar to me that is a licensed professional, whether it's a psychologist, a social worker, your psychiatrist, also your primary care. Primary care is actually the doorway into mental health, because majority of people, one, have primary care, and if not, they trust the primary care provider more than they would trust a psychiatrist or a psychologist. So again, this is not to diagnose you. It's just to give you some tidbits about maybe some things that you're struggling with so that we can continue to provide resources and services for you. Next slide, please. So mastering the power of you. So my goal today is to empower, is to strengthen, and to motivate those who struggle with issues of abandonment, low self-esteem, rejection, absentee fathers, self-esteem, self-acceptance, oppression, and much, much more. And to present key principles of how to take your past and present disparities and challenge yourself to use them as a pathway to mastering the power of you. So similarly to the sister that was before us, I personally do not have a diagnosed mental health condition. However, I did for years struggle with low self-esteem, struggled with low confidence, struggled
with self-worth, understand the effects of an absentee father, understand the effects of emotional abusive mother. So again, I find that God uses everything about us. Nothing is for naught. And sometimes we feel like, why am I going through this? And why am I going through that? But what I do know, it's a part of my journey, and it is a part of my purpose to not only work on myself, but also to be a light and to be an example that you too can overcome these things, that you too do not have to be burdened by these things, that you too can take this thing, take these traumas, take these stressors, take these life issues and experiences and become a better you. Because not everything is always about us, but it is about us and also helping others to find the strength to get to their struggles as well. So today we're going to look inside of yourself, right? How to master the power of you. Radical acceptance. We're going to talk about that. And learning to live in freedom. Next slide. So looking inside yourself, the first thing of mastering you or the power of you is a question of, do you even know who you are? Because if you don't know who you are, how do you know what's inside of you that you can glean from to continue to build strength, to continue to build character, to continue to walk in your power, walk in your authority, walk in your God-given abilities? So the first question I'm going to ask everyone, and I know that I can't see you, but I can see the chat, is do you know who you are? And that is not, oh, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a student, I'm a daughter. It's, do you know who you are? Who am I despite everything? When I look in the mirror, who am I? And when I look in the mirror, do I like what I see? Because as Black women, we know how to glamour this up. Honey, you can see today I got makeup on, we got the lips is popping, my edges is laid. Honey, I tried to do a YouTube video this morning to get this right. We know how to do that. We know how to have the Gucci bags. We got the purse. We got all of that stuff, right? So we are gems on the outside. But as I continue working in my professional career and my personal career, meeting different kinds of women, I counsel lawyers and doctors and CEOs. What I all find in common is that we're fairy dust on the inside. We are broken on the inside. We are hurting on the inside. And this is actually for show. And I'm not saying not to have this together, because I was raised, when you leave out this house, represent me and yourself. So I'm not saying that to become all raggedy and looking all like you don't have a care in the world. But what I'm saying is that our outside should match our inside. Because whatever is inside of you is going to come out. I always tell my clients and just people that I work with every day is that what you do not deal with will eventually deal with you. And most of the time, it comes out of your mouth or it shows in your behaviors. And so if you don't like you, it's going to show. It's going to show in your relationships and what you tolerate or not tolerate. Hopefully it's some good things in there. It's going to show in who you date. Lets us know how you look at yourself. It's going to show in your workspace. It's going to show in your attitude and your approaches. So again, the first question is, who am I? Do I like who I am? And if I don't, where do I start? A lot of our issues and our stressors and our traumas are sometimes intergenerational, that they've been passed on to us. Some of them is due to abuse and neglect, whether it's sexually, whether it's emotionally, psychologically, mentally. Some is due to the abuse that we have done to ourselves, right? Not taking opportunities, having imposter syndrome, having not the confidence to do the things. And then we look at other women and then we look at them sideways. Why are we looking at her sideways? Most of the time, it is, sometimes I can say it's jealousy, but sometimes it's because you knew that's what you were supposed to be doing, but you're not doing it. So when you see her doing it, it's a reminder of where you're not, and you're not in your proper place in your life. Next slide. The second question I want you to look as you do a introspective of yourself is, where am I? And not where am I just in this moment, but your moment in time. Where am I in my relationships? Are they healthy? The relationship with myself. Am I in a good place? Do I like being by myself? Right? Because you have a difference between being lonely and loneliness and being alone. I like being alone. I do a lot all day. I got a rambunctious 6-year-old. So when she can go to bed and I can just be quiet and my world is calm, I am okay. I'm okay being alone, but I'm not lonely, because loneliness becomes a state of mind. Loneliness also can lead to depression. Loneliness can also cause us to do things that we would not ordinarily do. Loneliness will cause you to pick up the phone when you know Malik ain't good for you. Loneliness is a trap, right? So we're looking at relationships. Where am I? Where am I in my professional realm? Am I where I want to be? And if I'm not, why am I not there? What is holding me back? What are the barriers that are in place, or that I'm not maybe seeing or noticing, or that I put up guards because of fear, because of doubt, because of whatever it may be? Why am I not where I want to be? It could be in your finances. Where am I? Am I financially stable to where I don't have to worry, or I'm not concerned, or am I overwhelming myself and I still seem to keep going around this revolving door and nothing in my life is changing? Where am I in my spiritual realm? And that is not just the religion, that's just your higher self, right? Your higher power. If you are not connected or disconnected, what happened? I am a church kid, so I know all about church hurt, and that ain't no joke. That's a whole nother topic, a whole nother program that we can talk about. But at the end of the day, when we're doing that, looking inside of us, because again, how can you get to the mastering the power if you don't even have power? If you're not connected to the power source, you won't have no power. And if you do, your power will be very short. The next slide, please. What do I want? As in life goals. What do I want in my family? What do I want my life to look like? So for me personally, it's not even what I want. I am going to be a multimillionaire. I am the legacy breaker in my family. I am the chain breaker in my family. I want to be whole. I want to have joy. I want to have peace. Many of us don't know what we want. And so many of us, because we don't know, are influenced by the people around us and by social media. So while social media to me is a double-edged sword, while it is great because right now we can use social media, to promote healthy things like mental health or connection or things of that nature. But however, it is also false advertisement, because what people show is normally not the reality of what is going on behind closed doors. And so then we start being envious and start chasing after things that are false. And then when we get to it, we are then disappointment, which then causes another setback in our life. So again, while I can't see you, I'm hoping that you're taking some notes to look at yourself and figure out, what do I want and how am I going to get there? How bad do I want it? Right? If you want to come out, if you want financial freedom, what are you doing to get it? If you want to have good friendships, what are you doing to get it? Right? The first thing of to get friendships is to be a good friend. Because everything that I am saying today is going to take something from you, or take something that is going to be encouragement for you, is going to cause you to have to change your mindset, right? That negative thinking, we sometimes call it stinking thinking, that's not going to help to master the power of you. That self-doubt is not going to help to master the power of you. That I'm not good enough spirit that you have is not going to help you to master the power of you. And recognizing what is your voice and maybe who is talking to you, who has been talking to you in your ear. Recognizing that everybody is not going to support you. You have to sometimes do this alone. You have to sometimes, as we do airports and we have like the hubs and things like that, and where we're in transition, this is where you are in life. For many of us, is transition, is realizing some people that you have to cut off, is realizing some baggage that you have been given by your mother, by your family, by your community, is no longer serving you, and you cannot take that with you. It is weighing heavy on you. So as we are decluttering our mind, we might also have to declutter our relationships, our secret closets of, is everything in here that I can still fit? There are some things that I could fit at 20 that I can no longer fit at 41, and I'm trying to squeeze into them jeans. Sis, let the jeans go. They are no longer serving you. But it is the same thing in our life, that sometimes the friendships that we have really aren't friendships. It's really toxicity to our life. It's not something that is involving you. So also looking at, what do I want? Where am I? And evaluating those relationships to ensure that they are nurturing. They're not weeds in your garden, because if you don't prune those weeds, they will kill everything in your harvest. Next slide. Which leads us to radical acceptance. So this is part of a term that is used in a therapeutic intervention called dialectical behavior therapy. And it's really dealing with mindfulness and the awareness. And so radical acceptance empowers genuine change. Is this something that you really want? Because the title is great. Girl, I'm mastering the power of me. But what you doing about it? It's change, it's healing the fear and shame and helping to build loving, authentic, wholesome lives. That means you might have to go to therapy. And therapy is not a negative thing. And I'm not here to promote what I do, because I also have a therapist, because I also have traumas that seem to kind of peek its ugly head up sometimes, right? Because sometimes in our lives, we think that we're over it, but we really just suppressed it. We're in denial, like, girl, I'm good, I'm over it. You're really not, because it keeps coming back up. It shows in our behavior. It shows in our language. It shows how you treat yourself. It shows how you treat other people. Radical acceptance deals with our spiritual awakening, which is the process of recognizing our essential goodness, our natural wisdom, and our compassion. Many of us are so broken that we are literally just almost treading water. We are barely making it. And sometimes we fake it till we make it. But I don't like that sometimes, because faking till you make it doesn't show the realness of you. It doesn't get to the roots of it. And it is a facade, and we're wearing, and we having these masquerades, and we're like, I'm all good, and I've been with Jesus all day, but you haven't. You've been crying. You are suicidal. You are drinking heavily. You are doing things. But when it comes to, and also with that, it causes us not to seek help, because it's, I'll do it myself. I can handle it. I got it. But sis, you don't got it. And so recognizing the help, recognizing that I can't do this by myself, so that we can get to the new levels in life, so that we can get better, not just for us, for our children, for our families, and for our communities. So the way out of our mental anguish and our cages that we have in our mind is accepting absolutely everything about ourselves. The good, the bad, the ugly. Accepting all of that. Embracing all of that. Because that is what's going to help you into mastering the power of you. As Sis said, she's taking all of that she had, and she now has a business. She now is taking her story on the road to help other women, other teenagers, or whoever she comes in contact with. But the first thing that she had to recognize, something is wrong and I need help. Next slide. Radical acceptance is discovering our value, our self-worth, our self-confidence. Do you know, again, do you know who you are? And do you believe it? It's not just knowing it. Do you believe it? Challenging their self-talk of, I'm never going to make it. It's always going to be like this. I guess it just is what it is. It don't have to be it is what it is. We can do something about it. We do have the power. We can speak those things into existence. We are the power agents. We can cause change if that is what you want. but it also accepting failures and disappointments as a part of life and learning to grow from it, recognizing that is not who you are, but just a part of your journey. Because without it, how would you grow? How would you know if you don't try and maybe not succeed at that, right? The failure is not in trying to succeed or trying to have an attempt. It's a failure of not even trying at all. You know, my nephew say, I'm gonna shoot my shot. I have a 50% chance of getting it in the hoop. But if I don't, then that's 100% chance that I will not have what I want, or I will not get what I said I wanted to get because I didn't even try. Next slide. Forgiveness is one of those topics that could be considered controversy at times. A lot of people think that forgiveness means that we are just pushing what the person did to us under the rug or invalidating what happened. And that is not. Forgiveness is not a feeling. It is a choice. Because if we wait till you feel like forgiving, you may never forgive anybody for anything at any given moment. And it is not, again, just pushing a memory to the back of your mind. That's denial. That is not what I'm saying. I want you to speak to it. I want you to recognize it. I want you to address it, right? What they did to you was wrong. They hurt you. But we must deal with it and recognize it so it no longer has the power over you, that you have the power over it, that it no longer controls you, that you no longer are up at night pacing, crying, having backaches, having headaches, throwing up. All these things that also can lead to depression, bitterness, anger, that can lead to heart attacks, that can lead to strokes, that can lead to all kind of other medical and mental health issues because of you're not forgiving. And not forgiving of other people, also forgiveness of ourselves, of again, the things that maybe we have done to other people, things that we have done, you know, to the people that we love, things that have that we did not take full advantage of. Now, again, we're not denying that it happened, but you can't stay there, sis. We can't continue to allow yourself to be your own mental bully. How is that going to be effective for you? How is that going to help you to move forward if you continue to allow yourself to stay stuck in a place that you were never meant to be in the first place? Next slide. Again, forgiveness or forgiving someone does not negate the wrongdoing, but it places responsibility of judgment for their actions into God's hands. Not being able to forgive can be the source, again, of festering anger, bitterness, and hatred. And anger keeps us trapped. You cannot get to the next level of life if you do not have forgiveness in your spirit, in your mind. You cannot. Because there is true in forgiveness, there is freedom in that. This no longer haunts me. Not the saying that you forget. That's not what I said. And it doesn't mean that the person gets to come back. No, that's called reconciliation. Forgiveness is about you. It's releasing that, allowing it to flow through you so that you can continue to pursue the things that you want to pursue without any hindrance or any barriers. Next slide. So once we get from looking inside of you, accepting all of you, we are going to experience freedom. So freedom from fear, freedom from shame, freedom from loneliness and abandonment. And when I also talk about fear, I don't mean the emotion of fear, because that's normal. We all fear things, and fear can actually keep you alive. But I'm talking about the spirit of fear that keeps you from doing the things that you were destined to do, keeping you from starting your business, keeping you from starting over after a major breakup, moving to a new city, writing that book. That's the fear that I'm talking about. That's when we come to live that our pastor taught us that do it scared. Go, sis, go hard. Be in pursuit of happiness, of joy, because guess what? You deserve it no matter what. Nobody has said to you, done to you, put up things against you, talked about you. You deserve to have a good life. You deserve to be well. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to have the good things that God has intended for us to have. And that is the living in freedom. That is where we get power. That is where we get strength to do the things. And sometimes I just don't feel like it, but I'm going to get up. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep fighting for the things that I said that I want, that I deserve in my life. Next slide. So freedom is understood as either having the ability to act or to change without constraints. The picture show breaking chains. You're no longer bound by people, by criticisms, by opinions. You are free to do the best, to be the best. You are freedom from constraints of others, opinions about you, and even yourself. Freedom to do what you want to do without recourse. Freedom is not just do what you want, but freedom to be who you are and who you meant to be. Living life on your terms, dancing like nobody's watching. That is mastering the power of you, not allowing other people to control you, but managing your emotions, managing your thoughts so that you again can have power. And power leads to prosperity, riches, wealth, and not just money, just assets of who you are. No longer, no liabilities. We're over the liabilities. I'm over that now. Everything that comes to my life now has to be an asset, because if it is not, I have to cut that off. I cannot allow myself to be fueled or moved by everything that happens in my life and other people's life. Sometimes in freedom, you have to know when enough is enough and be able to stand on that, even if you have to stand alone. Next slide, please. Also in freedom, and I keep talking about it before, and mastering the power of you, is that we have to learn to let go of relationships that do not add value to your life, of not allowing fear to hold you back from the life that you desire to live. Be relentless about your happiness. Relentless. Go hard or go home. If this is what you want, go for it. Your actions should be able to tell us. You don't have to tell people, oh, it's a new year, it's a new me, I'm cutting you off. That is not necessary. Because the truth be told, when you start living in freedom, people will fall off. You don't have to take the garbage out. The garbage will take itself out. And you're going to wonder and sit back like, I wonder why they're not talking to me no more. I wonder why this is happening this way. It's because you are now attracting positive things to your life. You are now attracting goodness to come into your life. You are now attracting peace to come into your life. So peace and chaos cannot dwell in the same place. It's impossible. Like love and hate cannot dwell in the same place. And so once you start loving on you and accepting you and valuing you, you will attract people who see that, because it starts to ruminate out of you. It starts to beam out of you. You start to gain your confidence, your self-awareness. That is your self-transformation. That is when, again, the mastering takes place. And again, we know that mastering is ongoing. So as we continue on our journeys, this is what is going to hopefully sustain you, is that I used to be that way, but I don't like that no more. When you taste and see that there's freedom on the other side of fear, that there's freedom on the other side of pain, that there's freedom on the other side of trauma, we don't ever want to go back over there no more. I don't ever want to cross that again. Not saying that life is not going to continue to happen, because it is going to continue to happen. But now you know that you have this power inside of you, that you have this strength, that you have these gems to move past it and not allow it to continue to hold you down and hold you captive. Next slide. Moving again from freedom to power and prosperity, living and thriving in your true purpose. What is my purpose? Purpose is the thing that comes easy to you, the thing that you're good at, and how you're able to use that to help someone else is your purpose. Me, I've been talking my whole life. That's what I do. I talk. So hopefully today you're getting some good jewels out of it and some gems out of it, because that is what I'm using my voice. I'm using my past experience to help others, to empower others, to encourage others, to inspire others. That is my purpose. And everyone has a purpose. No matter what has happened to you, you are destined to be here. You are not a mistake. You are not a failure. You did not sneak into the world. You were spoken. You were created to be here for a purpose. And not just, again, for you, but to help and enlighten and strengthen others as well. Living in freedom is also implementing control of your emotions and not allowing your emotions to control you, so that you can walk in your power and authority to see and say and create change in your life. No matter what you're feeling, I can still say I'm a millionaire. Even if I don't see it today, I'm going to speak that. So I'm going to encourage you today, as you walking in the house, or you might have post notes, you might be at work, you might be even in the car. I want you to start saying what you see or what you want to see. Even if you don't see it, say it, write it down, visualize it every day until it comes manifested in your life. Next slide. So even though, again, I can't see you, I want you to repeat these positive affirmations with me that says that I am confident, I am capable, I am enough to master the power within me. Again, I am confident, I am capable, I am enough to master the power within me. So again, I thank you so much. That is my time. Here is my contact information. Hopefully, again, that you got something out of it today. And I'm hoping that you'll be able to, again, resonate on that. So not only, and not just keep it for you, but share it with your girlfriend, share it with your family, whoever else, so that we're not just loners by ourselves. We are a village. We are a community, right? There is strength in numbers. And so how dare I sit on something that you know is beneficial and not share with others that you know might find benefit with that as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over back to Portia, and I am done with mastering the power of you.
Dr. Gash, girl, you spoke so many gems. You got, I mean, words of wisdom. I love you said what you don't deal with will eventually deal with you.
Yes, ma'am.
My gosh, is that the story of so many lives? How many times do we just feel like we push things off, or we don't go to the doctor, or we don't see the therapist, or we don't, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, that is just the story of everyday life, and people don't realize it, you know?
Yes, ma'am.
That was, and then you spoke another one, Dr. Gash. It was something like pull the weeds, or it will kill
your garden.
Harvest. Girl, I'm taking notes.
Yes, honey, yes. Get them notes, boo. I love it. I love it.
No, wonderful. Thank you so much for supporting us and being on the show. We appreciate you. Keep on doing what you do, and enjoy the rest of your weekend, Dr. Gash.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. All right. Okay. So I hope you all are enjoying the show. So a few things that I want to note. In the comments, if you're seeing this on Facebook, you will see in the comments a survey. It's a quick little survey just to let us know how we're doing, what you like, what you didn't like, what we can improve on. We're posting that survey in the comments. The survey also, for those who have registered, you're also going to get the survey in the newsletter. So please just take 2 seconds to fill it out. It's really important for us, so we know like what we're doing right, what we can bring back, what we should change for next year, because this is our 4th annual event and we hope to have a 5th annual event. So that's important that you take some time to fill that out. In addition, just some reminders for everyone. Again, our app is dropping this year in 2023. So if you want to know when the app drops, you want to know when the next event is and all that good stuff that we're doing all across the country, because Black Girl Health is a national organization. even though our roots are in Harrisburg or in Central Pennsylvania, we are national. So if you want to know what we're doing, please sign up for our newsletter. We have that that link also that we're dropping in the Facebook chat, and you just give us your email and your name, and you'll get our reoccurring newsletters as well. The in-person event, if you're liking what you see and you want to be with us in person next weekend, y'all. Next weekend on Saturday, we will be at a Dauphin County Library. We'll be at the East Shore Library. And starting at 11 o'clock, we're going to be doing a lot of fitness, and then a workshop on menopause and how to deal with that. So yes, definitely see us next weekend. All right. So I hope y'all are ready. Are y'all ready for the next workshop? So the next workshop right after the break is nutrition for the mind and soul. So we're going to really dig into what we're eating, what we should be eating, what we should not be eating, that could be affecting our mental stability. So don't leave us. We'll be back right after the break.
I arrive about 4:45 in the morning, grab my keys and begin my route. Everyone has a seat on my bus. Some get fist bumps, some get handshakes, some get high fives. They know you're sincerely there to really help them. And when they feel that, it really makes you want to do a great job.
More choices. More laughter. More time to play. And less need to worry. At Capital Blue Cross, we're driven by a simple goal: to go the extra mile for you through all of life's ups and downs, and to always be there when you need us. Capital Blue Cross, going the extra mile for you.
This is Harrisburg and Hershey, West Shore and Wyomissing, Lancaster and Lingelstown. This is hardworking people, growing families, and communities that look out for each other. This is celebrating life and Friday night lights. This is hope, heart, and heroes. This is who we are. This is how we lift each other up. This is the health we need to live the way we want. This is Penn State Health. Learn more at pennstatehealth.org.
Good afternoon. Hi, my name is Trina Pitts-Calfani, and I am the owner and holistic practitioner for Holistic Balance. Holistic Balance is a natural health education consulting business, which our mission is to empower individuals to incorporate natural health lifestyles and practices in their everyday life. I am happy and excited to be here today and to speak about mind matters. And we know that the mind works well with the body as well as the spirit, and one affects the other. So if one is out of alignment, it affects every other area of the body. To tell you a little bit about myself is that I am a graduate of Morgan State University. I have a BS in Business Administration, HBCU proud. I also have a master's in public health from Penn State University, and I have over 30 years of public health education dealing with disease prevention and management. And I started Holistic Balance several years ago because I wanted to incorporate the best of both worlds and to use a more integrative approach using some natural practices that have worked for me personally and for clients that I work with over the years to be able to balance and have a more holistic lifestyle, but also to not to include the best practices in regular traditional medicine. So I would like to start my presentation talking about nutrition for the mind, body, and soul. Next slide, please. I would like to give a disclaimer that this information I'm providing or recommendations are not intended to diagnose, prescribe, or treat individuals. It's for informational purposes. One thing that I always say is that it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, and that's one of the things that I don't always agree with in traditional medicine is that everything doesn't work for everybody. And so we have to customize and individualize our approaches to how we become healthy and use an individualized approach because everybody is not going to utilize the same things. So next slide, please. So when you're looking at this continuum, I wanted to start out is how well is your mind, body, and soul? Because one of the things that we have to understand is that one impacts the other. Our body is a whole system. And so we cannot just work on one area and not focus on the other areas. Even if we're mentally strong, if we physically are having dis-ease and other kind of illnesses, it will affect our mind and of course our spirit, because when you're not feeling well, you're not going to have enlightenment. You're not going to feel like mental clarity. You're going to have brain fog and some of the other things that affect you in your mental state as well. So mind matters, but also our body and our spirit matters as well. So when you look at this chart, this is just a chart about illness, wellness continuum. And I like to use this chart, even though it's a little blurry, because it gives you an idea of how we feel on a daily basis. Because basically being healthy is not just being free from disease, but how do you feel? And so on this level of continuum on a daily basis, most of us fall somewhere between being in a comfort zone where we have a false sense of wellness. We may not have any symptoms. We may not have any diagnosed diseases, but we just don't feel our optimum selves. And many of us, unfortunately, in America, and particularly in the Black community, as we talk about Black girl health, is that many of us are leaning more towards poor health and premature death because we are not at our optimum level. And the goal would be to lean in more to good health, the optimal health, where you're feeling vibrant, you're feeling energetic, you're feeling clear thinking, and you can get through your daily task. Next slide. Thank you. So why is this important for us to be physically, mentally, and spiritually whole and in alignment and in balance and have optimal health? Well, when we look at our lifestyles, unfortunately, through innovation and through evolution, when we look at this chart from the 1900s to the 2000s, we're now in the 2020s, we have changed a lot, not necessarily in a good way. Our lifestyles and our habits have changed dramatically. And even though we have innovation and all these great things that we have now and created, it also has had a negative impact, unfortunately, on our health, particularly in the people of color. And so our health disparities are greater in our communities with diabetes, heart disease, of course, high blood pressure and stroke. And so these are some of the factors. If you just look at this chart, just go over a few things. The differences that we have from the 1900s to the 2000s, we were primarily fed on breast milk. And now we're primarily fed on cow's milk or other sources of milk. We're starting to lean more back into breastfeeding, but not as high as we would like, particularly in our communities. We used to walk 3 miles to school or wherever we had to go, and now we have the luxury of a bus or a car, public transportation. So we're not getting as much exercise as we used to. And now with COVID and us, and I know I had to work 2 years from home and just sitting at our desk all day, we are not moving, we're not getting out like we did in the past. We had labor jobs and now we're sitting at our desk, like I just stated, like we're doing today. I mean, it's convenient because we can reach masses of people, but unfortunately, it has had a negative impact on our life because we're not moving. We absorb more sun, and now we basically get most of our light from electricity and artificial lighting. So many of us we are people of the sun, but we stay out of the sun now, and that is affecting us negatively. So we have high levels of vitamin D deficiency, iron deficiencies, and other kind of mineral deficiencies because we're not out in nature as we were in the past. Just going through it again, we drank mineral water. Now we're drinking with water that had minerals in it. Now we're drinking less water and, of course, polluted depending on where you live. We consumed the abundance of fruits and vegetables, and now we consume less than 4 pieces of fruits and vegetables a week. We consume meat to season our food, and now we're consuming meat every meal and making it our primary source of our meal. And then everything else, the vegetables now are now side dishes versus being a main dish. Also, we consume 4 pounds of sugar yearly, and now we're consuming 155 pounds of sugar yearly. And so, sugar is in everything. You can't get away from it unless you make your own things organically or naturally. Everything has sugar in it. And so we cannot get away from it. But unfortunately, it's not the pure sugar. It is processed sugar and fructose. And we snack on occasions. Now we're snacking constantly. And we consume complex carbs with fiber. Now we're doing a lot of processed foods with little or no fiber. Our soil had 103 minerals, and now we have depleted soil. And so even when we try to eat healthy, when we're trying to eat our fruits and vegetables, when we're trying to do the right thing, this does not have the same nutritional value that it did years ago because of the soil erosion and other things being done to our environment. So this is just showing us why it's important for us to now to be more intentional about how we're going to focus on overall health in our mind, body, and spirit, because we are dealing with things that are out of our control, some things that are environmentally based. And so we have to look at things and now do things a little differently. You can go to the next slide. Okay, I'd like to start off with this video so we can get into what my topic is going to talk about today when we talk about feeding the mind, body, and spirit. And this video, I don't necessarily agree with the approach, but I think it was a topic of conversation recently that everyone was talking about on social media, and it gives us some kind of context of what we're talking about today. So can you start the video, please? Thank you.
They put this on my plate. I will not let no. I don't do what they do. I do what I do. I'm a missionary. I don't eat it. But I would never eat a plate that looked like this. They pay me $1 million to do that to myself. Oh my God! And I deserve better than that. That's low vibration. And you took it. I would have been like, I'm playing like that. I tell you what I want. You don't tell me what I want. So my thought process is, if you can put it on my plate, but I don't have to eat it, I got the distance. I won't even look at it. That makes you look bad. I'm a queen. 20 plates on your leg. If we said 2 plates, we play together. And so who's royalty? They would say this person. I agree. That's a good way. This is serious. Yeah, because there's a lot of people that just let people give them what they want them to have. And they accept it. And Storm is teaching me right now. Yeah. Oh, Storm is teaching me, don't accept what they put on your plate. They put this on my plate. I will not.
Thank you. You can go to the next slide. So, of course, I don't agree with the Coach Stormy's approach, but what she's saying is relevant, and the message that she was trying to relay in this video that went viral and everyone was talking about low vibrational food. And there's some truth to it because everything has energy and everything has a vibration and a frequency. And so even though she was trying to correct her friend in a very aggressive way, I think, but she was giving her some wisdom that I think that we need to discuss today. And that is the difference between what we're consuming. Is it providing us energy, or is it providing us a low vibrational frequency? And that's not just talking about food as we consume in our bodies, but also in our minds. Are we feeding ourselves a low vibrational information? Are we that affects our spirit and our overall health? So looking at this chart, it was a electrical engineer and inventor named Nikola Tesla. And he said that if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think of it in forms of energy and frequency. So even when you think about your food and your nutrition, it provides fuel and energy for your body so it can sustain itself, so it can give you energy production, so it can provide your bodies and tissues and your organs with the tools that it needs to replenish itself and also to regulate the body. Also, frequency. We're hearing this thing about frequency and vibration. And I know a lot of people use that term now, but it is some validity to it. Everything in the universe is based on energy. And so, whether we're talking about the way that the earth moves and movement, if we're talking about seasons, how the seasons change and come, how the sun rises and sets, how our menstrual cycles go on a cycle. Everything in the universe is about frequency and movement. So if you're looking at it from a physics standpoint, frequency is just basically the number of waves that pass a fixed point in a unit of time. That's what frequency means and how often it occurs. When you're dealing with vibration, is a movement back and forth from its original position. So everything we know resonates on a vibration, whether it's music, whether it's sound and thought. So everything is frequency and vibration. And so I will use it interchangeably throughout this presentation. So basically, we're just talking about energy. How is your energy? And everything that you consume, whether it's food, whether it's thinking, whether it's thoughts, whether it's people, have a frequency and a vibration and an energy. So you know the saying where you say, I vibe with someone, I can feel their energy. You walk in a room, you can sense someone's energy. You have a certain energy that you're projecting out. That's all that we deal with on a regular basis. And so we're having a paradigm shift in the universe where we're going to start talking about more about frequencies and vibration, because we're moving into an era where we're going to be dealing with more natural resources. We're leaving fossil fuel, going into more battery operated cars. The ways that we move and our thinking is artificial intelligence, which is a whole nother topic about how we're going to be using computers to think like humans. All of that is dealing with frequency, energy, and vibration. And so when we think about foods, we also know that foods vibrate at a certain frequency, and they also have a certain level of increasing your energy or depleting it. So I like this phrase that I got from 19 Keys. He's a high-level thought teacher, motivational speaker. So I didn't coin this phrase, but I think it's so appropriate. I use it all the time. What you do and consume frequently becomes your frequency. So let me say that again. What you do and consume frequently becomes your frequency. Let's go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So, my question to you, does your food or what you do on a daily basis increase or deplete your vibration or your frequency daily to provide you the proper energy? This is just a little chart that tells you, is it in the red zone where you have low level vibration, you don't feel good, you don't have clear thinking, you don't have energy to get through the day, you need stimulus, artificial stimulus to get you through the day? Or do you have a high level of vibration and frequency on a daily basis where you're getting sleep, you're waking up rested, you're able to start your day with energy and enthusiasm, you can think clearly and do everything that you need to do without any challenges? So these are the questions you need to ask yourself. I don't like to just focus on food pyramids or what you can and cannot eat, because we all know, how many of us like things that we know don't bring us energy or nutritional value? I know I do. But you have to start asking yourself, is this going to increase my vibration or frequency, or is it going to deplete it? And if you know that these are the things that you're doing frequently, what can you do to balance this out so that you can have more leaning more into wellness and optimal health, and not just existing and leaning more into disease? Next slide, please. Okay, so feeding your mind, body, and soul. And I think of that as working harmoniously together, because like I said, if you just focus on the mind and not the body, then you will still end up with dis-ease. If you just focus on the body, whatever you put in the body affects your mind and affects your spirit. So everything works together. The body is one whole system. And one of the things I don't like about traditional medicine is that we compartmentalize the body into organs, into systems. We go to specialists for one thing. the brain or female issues, or we go for liver problems or kidney problems. But the body works harmoniously together, and one impacts the other. So you cannot just work on it in separate entities, because if you're not physically well, of course, it's going to affect you mentally, and your spirit will be low. But when you're vibrant, when you're leaning more into optimal health and wellness, then you're mentally going to be clear, and as well as your spirit is going to be also positive. Next slide, please. Okay, so just looking at the video that we just watched from Stormy when she talked about low vibrational food, that you're eating a low vibrational diet. What are some things that we consider low vibrational? Now, when you talk about low vibrational, these are foods that have very little nutritional value. And when it's digested in the body, it doesn't give you the energy, resources, and reserves that you need to function. So we said that basically a calorie is how we consume food and how we use the energy from that food. And then also we said that nutrients are supposed to provide us with the energy reserves, energy production, as well as help our system to function and regulate at its optimum level. So when you eat low vibrational foods, as we all love to do, because I know I love some low vibrational foods, they taste good, they feel good, they're comfort foods. Unfortunately, they have a lot of chemicals and preservatives in them that make us addicted to them, but we enjoy them. But they give us the frequency and the vibration that we need to function at an optimum level. If we're being honest, we will say no. That's why when we eat these heavy foods or low vibrational foods, we get into what they call a sleep coma. We're tired. Our body is focused so much on digesting all of this low vibrational food that it depletes us of our energy, because it has to now function on digestion. And but when we eat high vibrational foods, we know that it gives us the energy, we get energized, and then we could think clearly and we could do the things that we need to do on a daily basis. So these are some low vibrational foods that we know. And if you know of any other ones, you can also comment in the chat. This can be interactive. I would like to see some of your comments. But some of the basic low vibrational foods that she was talking about and that we know to be true based on science and information we've been hearing over the years is refined sugars with high fructose. I mean, the sugar that we are consuming on a daily basis, there's no wonder that diabetes is running rampant in our communities, because it's just overloading our systems, our pancreas, and we just cannot process it properly. And unfortunately, sugar is in everything. So we have to be very intentional to figure out how we can reduce that. Also, bleached flour, other sorts of white rice, white bread. These things have no nutritional value because they've stripped all the fiber out of it that we need to, for digestion and elimination. Of course, we can go into unhealthy fats, processed meats, processed cheese, and cooked meats. Anything that is not in its natural state, go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So basically, when you talk about low vibrational foods, anything that is not in its natural state is considered low vibrational, because everything, physics, it says that all foods have a vibration, as we talked about before, and is measured through the form of hertz. So hertz is just a way that we measure the frequency of vibration in anything, and is measured through a digital multimeter. So they have went through and they have measured foods, of whether they're low vibration or high vibration. They find that things that is in its more natural state have a high vibration, because it works better in the body to do what it's designed to do. And things that have been processed, things that have been altered, things that have been genetically modified have a lower vibration and no longer enhance the body at the cellular level. It actually depletes it and deteriorates it. So we do know that there's certain hertz. The normal body usually functions at about 62 to 78 hertz if they were to measure. And disease starts at about 58 hertz. So when you start to come down with a cold or a flu or a virus, your frequency level has dropped down to about 57 to 60 hertz. It can be measured. And they actually say death starts at around 25 hertz. So you can definitely sense, if you think about it from an esoteric level, you know how you could be in a room and someone says that they can sense someone is about to transition. They have even animals who can smell the sense of death of someone about to transition, because your body and your frequency and your energy is exuding a certain aura or a certain odor that can be measured. And so it can get very scientific. It's a whole lot of high level conversation, but to make it in simple forms, that everything that we do, everything, our bodies, the universe, everything is in alignment with the energy and the hertz that we have to be measured. And if you're at a high vibrational level, then that can be determined by how your body is utilizing the energy through your foods. Can you make the slide a little bigger so I can go over some of the key points? Okay. So food could either be medicine for your body or poison that deteriorates your body over time. And research has discovered that our body and health repairs itself when the vibration, like I stated, is a certain level of frequency. Certain things that deplete the frequency of foods, of course, is being processed through microwave, frying, canning, dehydrating, and not being at its natural state. The next slide, please. So we know with low vibrational foods, we don't have to talk about them so much, but we know what they are. There are some things that we know, the fried foods we enjoy, the things that have been processed, the things on the shelf. They always talk about the healthier foods on the outside of the grocery store, in the fresh produce section or the frozen section, or the healthiest. Anything in the middle we know is processed because it's canned, it's boxed, and it has to have a certain shelf life. So you know that if it has a certain shelf life for several months, that once it's in the body, you're not getting any nutritional value from it, because the frequency of it has been altered. Now, when you look at high vibrational foods, what are some of the high vibrational foods that we know? We know that anything that's fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, sunflower seeds, olives in the form of oil. That's why in most countries outside of America, they use olive oil, even though it's so expensive now with the prices in the grocery store. But that is a more high vibrational food versus canola and vegetable oil, which can still be used, but is not as high vibrational. Coconuts, in Caribbean cultures and in countries, they use coconut water because it's high vibrational. It helps on the cellular level. Whole grains that are not processed, which is very hard to find today. And that's why many of us are having a gluten intolerance, because of the processing of our wheat and other things now. And of soy, of course, because of the processing. But in Asian cultures, they use a lot of soy. The second highest, you have different levels of high vibration. So you might have, if you have fruits and vegetables, you have to cook them. Of course, steaming and boiling them not to a point of depleting all the nutrients will be the second form of a high vibrational food. So for instance, I know when we were younger, I used to laugh because we would cook our broccoli almost to the point of it melting in our mouth. And so I'm like, why is this broccoli melting in our mouth? Because we overcook our vegetables to the point where we have depleted all the nutrients, and all the nutrients are in the water. So that's why in the past, our ancestors and our great grandparents used to drink the liquid called pot liquor, because that's where all the vitamins are. Once you cook all your vegetables to the point where they melt in your mouth, they no longer have any nutritional value. So that in its natural form, it would still have the nice texture and the crunch to it. But if you have to cook it, of course, steaming it and boiling that at a low temperature for a short period of time is the best option to keep some of the nutrients. Of course, we got eggs, honey, and sugar cane, which is what a lot of people in the Caribbean still use as well as natural sugar cane. But what we have done is processed our sugar and made it into fructose and sucrose, which is no longer in a high vibrational state. You can go to the next slide, please. So high vibrational foods we know don't have ingredients. They are ingredients themselves. So when you look at something, an apple is an apple. There's nothing added to it. It's in its natural state. But when you start looking at canned foods or other things, you start to see all these words that you cannot pronounce or recognize. You know that that's no longer in its natural state, because they're additives and preservatives that have been put in there to preserve them for longer shelf life so that we can have them to use for longer periods of time. Well, we know that's not a high vibrational food because it's ingredients added to it. You should be able to identify the ingredient on the label, and if you can't, that means that you know that there's some things that have been added to it. Eating high vibration foods will help our bodies to work in harmony with the mind and soul and promote ultimate balance. We know when we eat certain things how we feel. So I always say to others to listen to your body, because your body will tell you if you're absorbing something properly, if it agrees with you or not. So if you're eating something, say if you drink some fresh squeezed juice, you're going to have a high level energy, even though it's sugar, but it's natural sugar. If you're eating like trail mix or things that have fiber and protein in it, you're going to have some energy. But when we sit down and eat our low vibrational meals, which we all enjoy, I know I do, then you feel like you want to go take a nap. Well, you know that's not a high vibrational food because it's depleting your energy and not increasing it. Next slide, please. So I wanted to ask a few questions as we go through these high vibrational foods. And you can tell me based on the pictures in your chat if you think it's the least vibrational, the best, or better. So we have different options here. Okay, next slide. You can go to the, okay. You can make that bigger. So when we're talking about food option, no, go back to the next one, the previous one. Thank you. So when we're talking about, say, for instance, breakfast, and we're talking about feeding our kids, because a lot of times with our children, we're feeding them so many processed foods. I just feel so bad for the next generation because they've grown up on nothing but microwave fast food and instant food probably their whole life. And the diseases that some of our grandparents and our parents are experiencing now in their 50s and 60s and 70s, these children are now experiencing them in their 20s, 30s, and some teens. High diabetes, mineral and vitamin deficiencies, and other things because they're not eating any kind of whole foods. And so, unfortunately, whole foods can be expensive. And if we're in food deserts, if we have food disparities, then it's hard to get these whole foods. But we have to figure out a way because, as we saw in the first chart, our lifestyles have changed so dramatically that we're leaning more into disease and lacking health and premature death than we are wellness. And so if we look at this, for instance, for a breakfast option, we know fruits are high vibrational food, but some people will always say, well, I eat fruit. Okay, so if you're looking at these three options, you have some fruit kebabs with a mixture of all kinds of fruit with different colors. You have a fruit bar, a breakfast bar, which has some blueberries in it, but it's oats and some other processing. And then you have some fruit snacks, which a lot of children love. And they say, oh, I'm eating fruit. I had some fruit snacks. Which one would be the best, highest vibration? And which one would be the least? Well, I'm sure most of y'all know. Of course, the least would be the fruit snacks. The better would be the granola. And then the best would be the fresh fruit. And then when we're moving fast and we have to get out the door and we're thinking of, well, okay, what can I feed someone for breakfast? Of course, starting off your day with fruit is definitely the best, but types of fruit is really makes the difference. A fruit snack is really not considered fruit. It's actually high in high fructose corn syrup. And so that's not what we're talking about because it's going to give you a high. And then before lunch, you're going to crash. And this is why we say children are hyperactive and overactive. And we wonder why they can't sit in their seats because they're on sugar highs. Okay, next. Okay, when we talk about also dealing with high vibration versus low vibration energy wise, how we cook our foods also makes a difference. So we have string beans here and we say, okay, now it's so funny because I was reading somewhere where we have thousands of forms of vegetables, but we only utilize about 60 of them. And when we talk about the Black community, we probably only eat about 5 to 10 types of vegetables that we like, but it's so many different assortments that we have not even tried. But if you're looking at string beans, for instance, if you have frozen string beans, you have fresh string beans that we used to help our grandmothers prepare, and then we have some canned string beans. Which one would be the highest vibration and the lowest in the form of getting your vegetables? So I'm going to just answer so we can move forward because I know we'll be running out of time. Of course, the least would be the can, because when you have to can something, you have to preserve it so it can have a longer shelf life. So you have to have some additives in it. So that same nutritional value won't be the same as a fresh string bean. That would be the highest. And of course, frozen is the second highest because it's still the string bean, but they freeze it to give it more shelf life. And then you would steam it or cook it. But if you overcook it, like I said, we used to have string beans that melt in our mouth. We know that that's not at a high vibrational level once it melts in your mouth. Okay, next. Okay, this is always tricky because we talk about how we can cook our foods and what types of sources of fats. So we have olive oil here made from fresh olives. We have vegetable or canola oil, and then we have margarine. What would be the lowest vibration, the highest vibration? So I'll answer for you because I know it's a little delay. Of course, the fresh olive oil. All over the world, they use olive oil because in the Mediterranean cultures and other things, and they have lower heart disease, lower cancer, and other things because olive oils have properties in it that are high vibrational, that works well with the body, that is digestible. Then you have the canola vegetable oil, which is some controversy with that, but we say if you can get the vegetable and the canola, they're more monosaturated and less saturated fats. And then margarine, which we've been back and forth over the years between margarine and butter. I'm still a fan of doing butter because it comes from a natural source than margarine. But margarine is also something that has more saturated fat than these other two oils. We can go to the next one. But of course, if you deep fry it, that's going to take away all the vibrational energy from it. So even though we like fried foods because they're tastier, the best form to do it is to broil or to bake. Now, if you're looking at meats, what are the higher vibrational proteins here? Well, proteins in general. If you're looking at beans, or you're looking at fish, or different forms of meat like sausage, ribs, hamburgers, even chicken, what will be the highest vibration, the lowest vibration that you would get from the energy source? Of course, beans, if your beans have a higher vibration, it has fiber in it, and it helps the body with amino acids and other things when you couple it, particularly with rice, certain rice. Fish would be second, and then, of course, the other meats would be third because meats are harder to digest, so it takes them longer to be processed in the body. Okay, next. And we may not have time to go through all the slides. I think we should have some time. Now, when we talk about fish, because I know people say, I eat fish sometimes, and certain fish that they eat. I like fried catfish. And it's very tasty, but does it have the same vibration depending on how you make it? So would it be fried fish would be the best option or the least, baked fish or grilled fish? Fish has a lot of good properties and amino acids, particularly if it's not polluted. Unfortunately, that's environmental issues that we don't necessarily control with the mercury in the water and other things. But if you were to eat fish, of course, it's leaner and less saturated fat than eating regular meats. But everyone's not a vegan or vegetarian, and we all understand that. So if you're going to eat meats, what would be the best way to do it? So of course, grilled or baked would be the best option. And then fried would be the least option, but we do enjoy those at times. Next. Now, this is always an issue because most of us drink our calories in a day through the types of juices and foods that we drink. And I like some sugary drinks from time to time. But what would be the best option? Of course, water, freshly squeezed juice, even though it has high levels of sugar, is natural sugar. Canned soda or these sippy cups that we give our children on a regular basis, these sip ups. If you were to give your children something to drink and they say, I want some juice. I know my daughters used to say that at 2 years old. I want juice. What would be the better option? Of course, water is the highest vibration, hopefully, if it's not polluted. I like alkaline water because it helps to balance the pH levels. And many of us are acidic in our natural state because of the foods we eat and the things we're exposed to. So I do like alkaline water or distilled water. But water in general, any form is better. Of course, soda would be the least, but soda's up there with some of these sippy cups because they have a lot of fructose corn syrup in it if they're not natural fruit in there. And then, of course, natural squeeze juices are better, but they have a high level of sugar. So a lot of times when I tell people when they're drinking juices, sometimes if you can mix them with some greens like kale and some other things and juice them with some celery, it will cut some of the sugar content, particularly if you have a sugar issues going on, but it's still a natural form of sugar. Okay, next. Okay, if we're talking about, we say, I eat vegetables, and many times you hear people, I eat vegetables, I eat French fries. Okay, so what would be the highest frequency? Would it be rice in its natural form? Would it be a baked potato or a French fry, fried French fry, which are all very good. I mean, that's one of my bad things that I love, French fries. I see some comments in here. So, of course, the least option would be a French fry, fried French fry, because it's normally fried in grease, a saturated grease. A baked potato would be the second least option, which will be, but the best option will be rice in its natural form, not white rice, but brown rice, whole grain rice, and other forms of rice. Okay, next. And lastly, and we can go through this really quickly. If you were to eat lunch and you wanted to have a high vibrational food that's going to give you mental clarity to get through the rest of this afternoon, to look to have these meetings that you got to sit through without falling asleep or in class, and you need to be thinking clearly, what would be the best option for lunch? Would it be a veggie wrap, a grilled chicken salad with avocado and some nice vinaigrette dressing, or a sandwich, turkey sandwich with lettuce and tomato? Which none of these options I think are necessarily bad, but what would give you the high vibrational energy that you need to get through the day? Well, the best choice would be the veggie wrap because it's assortment of vegetables and is in a wrap, which is the wrap is not a processed wrap that look like it's it could be a spinach wrap or some other kind of wrap, and it gives you energy. Of course, the salad gives you energy because it has the protein, has the good fats of the avocado, and it has greenery in it. So that's going to give you, but if you're not, if you don't eat meat, then the veggie wrap, of course, would be the better option on a salad without the meat on it. You can use chickpeas and other forms of protein to give you the protein on your salad. And of course, the sandwich would be the last option, but if you can replace it with some whole wheat bread, if you have gluten issues, gluten-free bread and not white bread. So that would be a good option for lunch to make sure that you have energy that sustains you throughout the day. The point is that when we're still talking about energy, you want to consume things that are going to give you a balance throughout the day. And many times when we eat things that give us a high spike in energy, but then depletes us hours later, then we have to continue to eat. And that's when we graze and snack because we can't sustain our equilibrium throughout the day. So they say proteins are sustainable throughout the day, but it doesn't necessarily have to be meat proteins. Certain fruits and vegetables help sustain us throughout the day, and it does not give us those highs and lows. This is why many people are not just affected with diabetes, which is a high sugar overload of carbohydrates that process in the sugar, but also a lot of people are dealing with hypoglycemia, which is low sugar levels, which affects you in a negative way as well, where you have not clear thinking, your anxiety, you're nervous, and you can't function because your blood sugar is too low. And that comes from having these highs and lows and spikes in our food. And you need foods that proteins and things that can sustain you throughout the day. Okay, next. So in addition to talking about high vibrational foods and low vibrational foods, we also have to look at portion size, because one thing in America, we think bigger is better. We got these mega cups. Sometimes when I go somewhere and they give me these mega cups, I'm like, I don't want all that they said comes with it. No, I don't want all of that juice in one sitting. So sometimes bigger is not always better. And even though we want to get the most for our money when we go out and dine and we say, okay, we want big plates, portion size actually impacts our vibrational and energy levels. If we're overeating at one sitting, then that food has to be digested by the body and it will deplete your energy and your frequency. If you eat smaller portions, you will sustain your energy longer. So I say when you go out to eat and you get these large, even salads, sometimes they give you these huge salads and you can't eat it all at one sitting. You can take it the next day and eat it for lunch. That's what I choose. I take a lot of to-go containers and I eat them the next day because we're just overeating too much at this one time. And so portion size is also equally important as the types of foods that we eat. Because like I said, then you end up in a sleep coma because you overate and you can't function, you can't even think straight. Next, please. Okay, so because we were talking about mind matters today and things that help stimulate the mind, and the presentations earlier were absolutely fabulous when we talked about the personal testimonies and then talking about being your best you. We also want to talk about foods that feed our mind, but ultimately they also feed our body, and then it will help in our spirit because we will be energetically and positively affected by it. There's certain foods that they say help the mind. So when you know that you're getting ready to start your day and you're getting ready to, say, be in long meetings or on Zoom for 4 hours, or even studying for a test, you don't want to eat heavy, low vibrational foods because it's going to take away from your thinking capacity. You're not going to have clear thinking. You're not going to be able to retain information. So these are some of the foods that they have found help to feed your mind. Leafy vegetables we talked about, kale and collard and spinach, broccoli. They have properties in it that help to stimulate the mind. Turmeric, you're hearing a lot about turmeric, the spice that they use in a lot of Indian cultures, that if you add that to smoothies and use it on a regular basis, it helps to stimulate the mind. Pumpkin seeds, now I prefer sunflower seeds and other nuts, but pumpkin seeds have a lot of brain power type of stimulants that help the mind. Fatty fish like salmon and cod. All fish are not equal. Blueberries, and that's why you see a lot of blueberries and a lot of these mixes that you do when you have smoothies. Green tea, walnuts, dark chocolate, not milk chocolate, because milk chocolate has higher sugar, and eggs. So in the morning, if I know, because I'm not vegan, but even though I do periods of veganism throughout the year when I detox, I will start my day off with some eggs, a boiled egg or a scrambled egg. And I am very surprised how it sustains me through the day. And if I do that versus just eating a cereal with no fiber and no nutritional value and high sugar, then I'm tired before even lunchtime. So certain foods will help to stimulate your mind. You have clear thinking, you can function throughout the day and have the energy that you need to achieve all your tasks. Next slide. So I always say our bodies talk to us. I mean, you don't have to always go to a health practitioner or anyone to tell us what's wrong with us. Of course, we need to go there to get diagnostic testing, to get our physicals, to make sure our blood work, that everything is working at optimum level. And I believe in an integrative approach using the best of both worlds, because you need to find out what's wrong with you. So you need to know what to do sometimes naturally to try to change that paradigm. But if you don't listen to your body talk, it will scream. And that's when the form of symptoms come about. That's when the form of dis-ease comes about. And by the time that happens, you're already at a low frequency level. Like I said, codes start at a certain frequency. So when you're around people that have a high immune system, codes start at 57 to 60 hertz. A normal body 62 to 78. So when you are around, you've ever been around people who, I work in hospitals and other places on a regular basis. And so I could be around people that are sick and necessarily not catch the cold or flu that is going around, because I try to keep myself at a high level of vitamins and minerals. Not that it's going to always guarantee it, but the higher your frequency level, the more your body can naturally fight off the things that you're exposed to. And so, or if you are exposed to them, then it won't be as debilitating as someone who has a lower frequency level or low vibration. And so your body will give you these signs and symptoms when it's out of alignment. When you eat certain foods, it's not agreeing with you if you're running to the bathroom, or you have gas, or it didn't digest properly, or you're tired after you eat it. Your body is telling you that it's not digesting, or it's taking a lot of energy to process this food that you just consumed. If you if you're mentally looking at doom and gloom every single day, because I got to turn my TV off sometimes from watching all this news and this negativity, particularly before I go to sleep, your body will then disturb your sleep pattern because now you have all these things in your mental capacity that you cannot relax. So your body talks to you, but if you don't listen, it will scream. Okay, next, please. I think I'm almost out of time here. Okay. Can you make that bigger? So to sum it up, I try to give people some basic tips to create holistic balance in their life so that they can enhance their frequency, their vibration, and have a more balanced life. Now, these things are not, no one's perfect. We all fall off and we all fall short. We all eat low vibrational foods. I know I enjoy them occasionally. I'm a foodie. I like to try new things, new restaurants, new places. But I know when I'm out of alignment, when I know when I've done too much, when I know when my body responds and my skin is not vibrant and I'm having irritations or inflammation or your gums, your dental health, all of that is all related to if you are processing and digesting your foods properly. And so when you know that you're out of alignment or you're doing excess, particularly around the holidays or in the winter, you have to get back to balance. You have to figure out a way, because it's going to be up to us individually to learn how to raise our own frequencies. We're going to be living in a world of toxicity and mentally, environmentally, in our foods and what we consume in our minds. And we have to be responsible now to be able to raise and increase our frequencies. I know there's a statement that people say, I match energies. That's the new statement now. Well, I would like to submit to you, encourage you to say not to just match energies, because it might be a low vibrational frequency or vibration that you don't want to match that energy, but to learn how to raise an energy or elevate a frequency when you're exposed to a lower frequency. So these are some of the basic things that I try to incorporate in my life, and I've encouraged other people to do as well. And in the morning, when you wake up from breaking your fast, many of us use breakfast, breaking a fast, as a way to eat these high, low vibrational foods that deplete us. And then by lunchtime, we're sleepy and can't even stay up long enough in a 1-hour meeting. So I always say, upon rising, try to drink at least 2 cups of room temperature water, not ice cold water, because that shocks the body, but room temperature water. I keep some water on the side of my bed, and I try to drink at least 2 cups to start my day, to just flush out my system from breaking the fast of sleeping. And then throughout the day, hydrate your body. I know people that say, I don't like water, but how can you not exist without water? That's the life force of your body. Most of us are 60% water. We have to hydrate in order for us not to be dehydrated. And dehydration also causes deterioration of the body. Eating a balanced diet, like we talk about, of more high vibrational food versus low vibration. But even when you want to eat those low vibrational foods, let's make a rule of 60-40 or 70-30, or some people go as 80-20. You can't always do things perfectly all the time, and we enjoy what we enjoy. And food is a way that we socialize with our families and commune with one another. And so if we're going to do that, and we know that we're going to eat low vibrational foods, say on a Saturday, then the rest of the week we're going to be intentional about making sure that we eat some of these high vibrational foods that's going to sustain us and balance it out. Occasionally doing detoxes, I do them regularly, where I come off of all those types of foods and all the things that I know are depleting my body, and I detox, and I do use supplements in my practice and other cleansing things that help to eliminate all the toxins that we accumulate in our body through external and internal things. And fasting occasionally, like some people do Daniel's fast or do Lent, and they fast from certain low vibrational foods, from sodas or alcohol or fried foods or whatever, occasionally coming off. I try to do twice a year, maybe in the spring and the fall, where I do 21 days of fasting and detoxification. Vitamin mineral supplementation. Unfortunately, because we talked about in the 1900s, our minerals and our soil was better with minerals and vitamins. Unfortunately, today, when we eat a carrot, we don't know if it's the same nutritional value as our grandparents had back when they had the same carrot. So unfortunately, we will have to, well, I won't say unfortunately, but we may have to supplement vitamins and minerals. I take a supplement every day, because if you're not getting the daily nutrients from your food on a regular basis, and you're not eating a large variety of foods, I said most of us eat about 8 or 9 of the same vegetables and fruit on a regular basis. If you're not getting the wide variety of nutrients from your food on a regular basis, you will have to supplement, because we are seeing a lot, like I said, of vitamin D deficiencies, iron deficiencies in young people. Vitamin C deficiencies, particularly if you're not in the sun belt and you're not out in the sun and getting that vitamin D. Many of our young people are getting that even before they're 20. So we will have to do some vitamin and mineral supplementation. Also getting regular fresh air and sunshine, communion with nature. If I'm in the house for a long period of time, particularly in the wintertime, I will just take myself outside to get some fresh air, go for a walk, just take a drive just to get some sun, because we were confined to our homes for so long, we were not able to get outside. We've been working from home during COVID, and we have not been able to commune with nature, and we need to get back to that. And it has impacted our health mentally and physically in a negative way. Watch out for unhealthy stress. Stress will actually kill you. It will there's nothing that a herb or a plant or a vegetable can do if you're always on 10. If you cannot regulate yourself and, like I said, change your vibration, your frequency, stress will still create high blood pressure and other things, even if you're doing some of the right things that I just described. Using deep breathing, meditation, positive thinking, prayer is some of the things that I recommend. Getting plenty of rest. I know many of us used to brag about the fact that I could live off 5 hours of sleep. Well, that's not good for the body, because the time of sleep is when the body renews, regenerates, and restores itself on a cellular level. So it needs that time to rest as much as we do an activity in order for it to work on its optimum level. And if you're having problems with resting, there may be things you need to do as far as nutritional wise and supplemental wise, because insomnia is also one of the big issues in America. And to slow down, creating a daily practice of alone time to center oneself. Like I said, we are going to have to start being responsible for our own frequencies and vibrations. Even if we're exposed to lower level vibrations and frequencies in our environment, in our work life, in our family life, we have to find a way to get away from that and raise our vibration in order for our own physical, mental, and spiritual health. I do it through music. Sometimes I just turn on some music. It raises my vibration instantly if I'm feeling down. Journaling, meditation, taking deep breaths, whatever inspires you to be able to raise your frequency in the midst of chaos. Because what we think about, we bring about. If we're constantly around low vibrational energies, mentally and physically, then it will affect our overall health. And we have to take control over that. Next slide. So this is just saying that so many people spend their health gaining wealth and then have to spend their wealth to regain their health. We are so busy trying to help everyone else. We're so busy trying to do things that matter. We're trying to work in our professional lives, our family lives. And then once we gain all these years, we'll say we'll focus on ourselves later. But by the time we get to ourselves, we got to spend all our money to get back to balance. And so the goal is, and the second part is, you can't pour from an empty cup. Take care of yourself first. Self-care is definitely a priority, and it's something that you should be mindful of and intentional every single day, because you cannot help anyone else if you're depleted. Next slide. So this is from my book, Slow Down by Choice or Lay Down by Force, 7 Keys to Create Holistic Balance in Your Life, if you can make that bigger. And it says a quote. Could you make that slide a little bit? It says, it requires unwavering commitment to convince yourself that it is in the best interest of everyone if you show up in the world your best, whole, balanced self. And high vibrational, I'll add that. And last slide. So my book, Slow Down by Choice or Lay Down by Force, 7 Keys to Restore Holistic Balance in Your Life. It gives you examples of what I just described, but also real life individuals that I've worked with who had the real life experiences that had to rebalance and come back to wholeness. You could purchase it on Amazon or on my website. It's also on audio now, so you can listen to it in the luxury of your car and get some keys and tips that possibly can help you in your life. Next. And I would like to thank you for listening. I hope you got some keys and tips that will help to raise your vibration and understand that everything is energy, and it's up to you to control how you will move, show up in this world, and hopefully it will be a light that you can raise other people's vibration as well as your own. Thank you.
Trina, that was so empowering, and it's very informative. All the information about high and low vibration foods, and just that is a big nugget that you mentioned about listening to your body. I mean, and our body tells us what it likes and what it doesn't like, and every day we eat, we never listen. That it just, sometimes you don't even have. I mean, you don't necessarily have to go to a doctor or anyone. Just start listening to what agrees with your body, and filling yourself with foods that are like medicine instead of poisons, and your body tells you.
Right.
So I love
instantly sometimes.
I love the fact that you focused on that. I know we had a question. I just wanted to, some questions that maybe we didn't get to. There was a question here about how do you introduce healthier foods to children who are used to low vibrational foods. I thought that was really interesting. Wanted to see if you have a comment or a recommendation on that, because you mentioned a lot about how kids, they're growing up with all the sugar and processed foods and stuff, and not getting any whole foods. They're starting off this way.
Right.
So I can only imagine it must be, it's definitely hard. I know it's hard for me,
Yeah.
To introduce some healthier foods, to our kids.
So what I did with my children, I just started to incorporate, small time. You can't take it all away. It's like taking everything away that they're so used to and accustomed to, but give them alternatives. And I know they say, I don't like this, I don't like that, but did you try it? Even as adults, someone will say, I don't like that. Well, did you ever taste it? No. Okay, well, try it. And they're surprised how some things taste. And once you start to do it more often, your palate starts to change. For instance, when you're detoxing and you notice when you go back to eating sugar, it's so sweet. Or when you try to give up salt and then you go back to eating chips and you're like, oh, this is so salty. So then you have to gradually introduce some healthy options, and then you start to replace the unhealthy, low vibrational options. But you can't do it all at once, particularly if you didn't start them off that way. But I would just start including small things to try to encourage them to try this. And then you can sneak some things in there, because sometimes they don't know. I had went from red meat to introducing turkey in my spaghetti. No one knew it. And they're like, oh, this is good. Well, you don't know this is ground turkey or ground chicken. It's not even beef. So sometimes until they taste it, they won't know that it's something that's an option for them.
That's speaking music to my ears. And my husband and I are cleansing and detoxing. And I'm so glad that you said that you can change your palate. That's what I'm trying to get him to do, is just, changing, after those 21 days, 28 days, you'll have a different taste.
Yeah.
And going back,
it won't even taste the same anymore.
I'm like, and he thinks he's going to go back to, bad stuff. No, the whole idea is to reset. So that you know what I'm saying? So you won't feel the urge or the craving to go back, but change, the way that you're eating. That was so good. And then you also mentioned you detox. And I think that is a really important thing. People have gone years and years and years and never detox. And someone mentioned how often you detox. And I think you said it. You said spring and fall. Why you pick those times to detox?
Because I think they're high vibrational times universally. So in the spring is also a renewing of the universe. Plants are growing. Everything is coming up from its hibernation from the winter. I find it a little more difficult, even though people like to start in January, which I'll do a mini detox probably as well. But in January they start. But that's at a low vibrational time, is winter time, particularly in the East Coast. Now, if you're in the Sun Belt area, it might be better for you, but your body naturally drops its temperature when you detox. So you're a lot colder because it doesn't have as much fuel in the foods that you're eating whole foods. And so I find myself to be colder and it's low, and then, it's harder to sustain. So I picked the spring, which is a renewing of the whole universal renewing of myself. And then the fall, after the summer months when we've been going out and doing all kinds of things, to be able to reset myself before the hibernation of winter. But anytime you could do small, you could do a Monday once a week, or some people pick 1 week in a month. I like to do it, like you said, at least for 10 to 21 days, because that really resets the body given that period of time.
My last question for you, and I'll just let you go. This just tells you, because it was so informative. It was great. And I'm glad that you, gave it made you really think about food and what you're eating. So what is the number one supplement and the number one vegetable you think that you can't live without, that you gotta have like pretty much all the time, that you just so for, that's your daily?
So for supplements, I think that just having a multi-supplement particularly for women, because it has all the vitamin Bs, the calcium, magnesium. We need all of that for our hormonal balance. And so I think that you having a high level woman's multi-supplement that has some folic acid, particularly if you're in childbearing years, to prepare your body. But even if you're not in childbearing years, as we go through menopause and the waning of our childbearing years, we also go through hormonal challenges. So we go through them as we come into puberty, and we go through them as we come out of childbearing years. So having that mixture of the calcium, magnesium, vitamin D, E, and vitamin C, of course, is definitely important during this COVID and cold and flu season to keep our immune system up. So if you have a great multivitamin, that would be good to have on a daily basis. And then you may need to supplement some other minerals depending on your personal situation. And what was the second part? I'm sorry.
Your favorite vegetable. Your favorite vegetable.
My favorite vegetable. I love asparagus.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a good prebiotic. That is a good prebiotic. Okay.
Yeah. And I love Brussels sprouts. I love, so I love, and the carrots is always good, especially for juices. But they have a lot of sugar, so you got to make sure you cut it with a little bit of greenery.
Well, Trina, that was great. Very informative. I hope you all learned a lot, because I sure did. Thank you so much for supporting our campaign and our mission and what we do. Can't wait to have you back again, but enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Okay, everyone. We are almost done. We're almost done. I hope you guys are learning a lot. I hope you guys are liking this. I hope you're taking notes, because this is good. This is good information. Definitely dropping some gems, and definitely things that could really change your life and improve your mental health and your overall health. So some quick nuggets. Again, please continue engaging. A lot of you guys are engaging and commenting. Please keep them coming. Please definitely also, if you have not registered for the in-person event, register for the in-person event, which is next weekend in Harrisburg at Dauphin County's East Shore Library on Saturday of next weekend at 11 o'clock. So register at mindsmatter.blackgirlhealthfoundation.org. The link is also posted in the comments. If you want to join, be a part of our sisterhood in any kind of way and be involved in stuff, make sure we have your email. So you'll see the link in the Facebook chat to sign up for our newsletter that will let you know on when our mobile app drops, so that you'll be able to be a part of our sisterhood, our membership, which is totally free. So it'll let you know when that will drop. I'll also let you know when our other events take place all around the country. You may be in those spots, or you may know people and you want to tell them to register and all that good stuff. So we want you to stay connected with us. All right. So our last and final workshop is overcoming generational trauma. So you do not want to leave us. So that workshop is right after the break.
I arrive about 4:45 in the morning, grab my keys, and begin my route. Everyone has a seat on my bus. Some get fist bumps, some get handshakes, some get high fives. They know you're sincerely there to really help them. And when they feel that, it really makes you want to do a great job.
This is Harrisburg and Hershey, West Shore and Wyomissing, Lancaster and Lingelstown. This is hardworking people, growing families, and communities that look out for each other. This is celebrating life and Friday night lights. This is hope, heart, and heroes. This is who we are. This is how we lift each other up. This is the health we need to live the way we want. This is Penn State Health. Learn more at pennstatehealth.org.
I'm writing through the tears because I'm stuck on the past years. You see, that's what got me here. It's the ejection of my rejection, showing up represented by PTSD. When you reject me, it upsets me. And I take a trip down memory lane, you know, the time where my daddy left me. Daddy, please don't go, my little voice pleaded, but the crack was calling. And at 39, I'm still stuck. I'm stuck at 7 and can't seem to get past it. Every time I try to make peace with my past, PTSD won't let it be. But today, I say, rest in peace to those unwanted memories. My name is Mastermind Issa Masterpiece. I am the owner of the Therapeutic Loft, and today I will talk to you about generational trauma. First slide, please. My presentation today is called From the Cotton Field to Clinician, Transforming the Culture that Predated My Existence. Next slide, please. Trigger warning. If you can make that a little bit bigger, please. Thank you. So during this presentation, this is a creative expression of my experience with generational trauma. Now, during this time, you may be triggered. So you need to take care of yourself. If you need to take a break, please do that. Whatever you need to do to take care of yourself, do that. I would like to welcome you guys to Healing with Masterpiece. Next slide, please. So, I am Mastermind Issa Masterpiece, a shaman and professional therapist from Detroit, Michigan. My quote, I say this often, is one that I made up. College didn't train me for this path. Trauma did. My condition was not my conclusion. Mastermind, can you go back, please? Thank you. Mastermind Issa Masterpiece. So, you know, you guys have me speaking at the Minds Matter conference, and minds do matter. Mindset also matters. So a lot of what we'll talk about today when we get into talking about how do we heal this, mindset is important. Next slide, please. Can you make this slide bigger? Thank you. So you see a picture of me here at 11601 Roxbury. That is my childhood home. On this slide, what is intergenerational trauma? It's the impact of trauma that's experienced not only from one generation, but generations after. After the event has happened, it still has an impact. This is also referred to as transgenerational trauma. On this picture, you see me standing there. I took this picture maybe a month ago. Tears in my eyes, crying like a baby because I can't get over what happened to me. But what I had to understand is something happened to him and something happened to him. Who is him? Keep watching. Next slide, please. So the original title of this presentation was From the Cotton Field to the Crack House. The title changed when my friend said, call it From the Cotton Field to Clinician, because your lineage didn't end at the crack house. She was right. I'm changing the narrative. The crack house was a part of the journey, but it's not the end. Today I present to you
From the cotton field to clinician, from clinician to be continued. Next slide, please. So this man right here, grandfather, my grandfather, Cleveland Jones, affectionately known as son Cleveland Jones, from the cotton field, the seed of deceit. His quote, I remember getting paid. I thought we earned $1,000, but it was only $10 for the entire year of sharecropping. Son Cleveland Jones said that. He was born in 1908. Therapy after injury. What does that mean? Well, my grandfather had to cut his brother down from a tree. His brother was getting ready to be lynched, and he had to cut his brother down from a tree. Do you think there was therapy after that injury? Do you think there was therapy to say, hey, son, how you doing? I know you probably experiencing PTSD. No, it was nothing. So he had to go ahead and move forward as a man and try to get along through life as he knew how. He was the father of 17 children. Whoa, 17 children. Get this, 17 births, no triplets, no twins, 17 children. Can you imagine that? I talked to my uncles and my aunts, and they would say things, they would quote my grandfather. One story that really hits me in my chest is my aunt said she was making beans, and she separated the rotten beans from the other beans, from the beans that she was going to cook. And my grandfather came in and he looked and he said, cook all them beans. It's too many of you bastards to feed. Which tells me that granddaddy didn't want to have 17 children. Grandfather needed to have 17 children because grandfather needed help in the field. So they have 17 children, okay? Grandfather, dreams and nightmares. I was told stories about how he would wake up in the middle of the night after having a bad dream and choke my grandmother. Trauma, PTSD. Again, there was no therapy back then. He didn't know how to affirm his children. My father said that they would drive over a bridge in Memphis, Tennessee, and my father would get scared. He was a little boy, maybe 6 or 7 years old, and he would climb down to the floor of his daddy's truck because he was afraid. And his daddy said, get up from down there, bastard. Ain't nothing wrong with you. Get up. He wasn't allowed to express himself, to show fear. He was not comforted because my grandfather didn't know how to affirm his children. He was never affirmed. Next slide, please. Can you blow this one up? This is my father, Mr. Leroy Jones, a man that I admire. I truly admire him because now I understand his story. Now we learned about son Jones. That slide said from the cotton field. This one was to the crack house. I was beat because I didn't pick as much cotton as my younger brother. Years later, my brother introduced me to crack cocaine. The pipe not only changed his life, but it changed my life. I'm 39 years old, and I'm still dealing with it. I was beat because I didn't pick as much cotton as my younger brother. Years later, my younger brother introduced me to crack cocaine. Now let's make a connection here. If you think about the Willie Lynch letter, it talks about putting the mother against the daughter and the father against the son. But then you have siblings that are against each other because that's what they learn. His younger brother, he was made to compete with his younger brother because they needed, the more cotton you pick, the more money you get, so they thought. So if you don't pick as much cotton, I'm going to beat you because your younger brother picked more than you. As a result, he was wet in the bed and dealing with different things, and he was punished for that. So you go through all of this from a little boy, and then you have to figure it out as a grown man. Well, it was no therapy for grandfather. There was no therapy for my father. The therapy became the dope house, the crack house, the pipe. Next slide, please. What happened to me? I cried and said, Daddy, please don't go, but the crack was calling. And at 38, I'm still stuck. I'm stuck at 7 and can't seem to get past it. Every time I try, PTSD won't let it be. But today I say, rest in peace to those unwanted memories. So my grandfather was cheated. He wasn't valued as a man. He went through a whole lot. As a result, he didn't affirm his children. My father didn't know how to be a father. He was not physically abusive. Verbally, yeah. Mentally, yeah. But he thought that he was doing better than his daddy because he didn't beat me. But what he didn't understand is that I'm still impacted. I'm still impacted. PTSD, PTSS, post-traumatic slave syndrome. That's a theory by Dr. Joy DeGury. And basically, the slave syndrome, it talks about the cotton field and how we were treated in slavery and how we were not treated, how we did not have the resources that we have today. So the thing that happened is generation. It passed on from generation to generation to generation. It's time to break the curse. It's time to change the narrative. We talk amongst our families about what mama did, daddy did, cousin did, well, who did, and they still doing this. And it's time to change the narrative. What do you think would have happened if we were presented the idea of us being kings and queens on the TV? How different do you think our lives would have been if the imagery was different? How different do you think our lives would have been if our parents spoke affirming words to us? At some point, we have to say we can't fault them because they did the best that they could with the resources that they had available. Next slide, please. This is my precious son, Isaiah. He goes by Zay Manifest. We talked about my grandfather from the cotton field, my father to the crack house, me, PTSD. But what's happening to him? He say over and over again, I just want you and daddy to love each other and stop arguing. That breaks my heart. Because he's being impacted by something that happened before I was here, before he was here. So I made up in my mind that it's time to change the narrative. Next slide, please. Can you blow this one up? This picture here is one that used to be painful until I changed the narrative. So this picture was taken at the Greyhound bus station in Detroit, probably around 1994. My daddy was struggling really, really bad. And he decided to go down south back to where he grew up at to get him some help, to get himself cleaned up. And so I had just finished crying again, Daddy, don't leave me. But this time he was going to get some help. And so the leading traumatic events, this is some things that that can cause generational trauma. Parental incarceration, divorce, substance use disorder, domestic violence, child abuse and neglect, historical events. I think I hit them all. Parental incarceration. I remember going to visit him in the penitentiary. Divorce. Him and my mother's been divorced a few times. But you know what? The beautiful thing about that, they kept remarrying each other. So I never seen another man or another woman besides my mom and my dad. So that's one positive thing about that. Substance use disorder, domestic violence, child abuse, neglect, historical events. Can we talk? Remember Tevin Campbell, he had the song, Can We Talk for a Minute? Can we talk for a minute? Now, we talk about generational trauma, and the first thing, we have to be able to identify some of the leading traumatic events in our life. So in the chats, if you don't mind, can you put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 as it relates to a traumatic event in your childhood? Were there parental incarceration? Did anyone parents get a divorce? Okay. Someone said they can relate to several. Substance use disorder, domestic violence, child abuse. Okay. All right. We're going to move on. But think about that. Someone said 5. Okay. Child abuse. All right. 2, divorce. That's huge. Anyone else? I can relate to all. Absolutely. Domestic violence, huge, yes. Someone said you have to deal with it. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. All right. 2, 4, and 7. Okay. So we know we have identified some of the leading traumatic events that leads to generational trauma. Next slide, please. Can you blow that one up? Thank you. I am a huge hip hop head. I love Jay-Z, Meek Mill. Big Sean is my favorite. So I often listen to what they say. And Jay-Z said, you can't heal what you don't reveal. That has been the issue in my family. People don't want to reveal. We want to sweep everything under the rug, but when that rug get big and it blows up and it look like an ugly monster, then that's an issue. We got to talk about some stuff. Next slide, please. Can you blow this one up? This did not start with you, but it can end with you. We have to share secrets. How do we know where we're going if we don't know where we come from? Sharing secrets. My son probably don't know a lot about my father's substance use disorder. And my father probably would be upset if I shared that information, but you can't heal what you don't reveal. He don't understand why me and his grandfather, who he refers to as daddy, he don't understand why you and daddy can't get along. Why do you always argue? That makes me scared. It makes me shake on the inside. Well, you know, I can say, hey, that's a grown person's problem. It doesn't involve you. You don't have anything to worry about. But the truth is he do, because he's concerned. The man that he looks at as his father and his mother are feuding. That's an issue. So he needs to understand not just my dad's substance use disorder, but he needs to understand what happened in the cotton field. He needs to understand what happened to his great grandfather. He needs to understand what happened to us as Blacks. He needs to understand how America view us in order to understand why his grandfather ended up on drugs. But so often we don't talk about it. Everything is a secret. If somebody touch you, that's a secret. Whatever goes on in my household, I'm sure y'all finished it, stays in my household. We got to stop keeping secrets. And we have to stop calling out the black sheep. I am the black sheep. But the black sheep is the one that makes the change. The black sheep is the one that has the courage to say, hey, you can't heal what you don't reveal. Next slide, please. Unpack the impact. Unpack the impact. Example. Hey, Dad, this is the impact that your substance use disorder had on my life. And this is the impact that it continues to have on my life as an adult. We have to have these uncomfortable conversations. And there's a generational shift where my dad is 70 years old. I'm 39 years old. And the older generation sometimes refer to us as weak. We can't take anything. You know, we screaming trauma, trauma. But we need to unpack the impact that that trauma had on our lives. Now, my dad and mom often say things like, I just want what's best for you. I just want you to do this. I just want you to do that. And they may have good intentions, but what is the impact? What is the impact your intentions have? And do you have those intentions? Are you trying to live your life through your child? A lot of that is going on because there's things that our parents didn't do because they were not afforded the opportunity to do so. So they tell us things like, go to college and get a good job. And that's good for some. It didn't work for me. They tell us how to continue to be domesticated, but they don't understand that that's perpetuating the cycle. Sometimes we can be off the cotton field, but our mindset still remains there. The generational shift. There's things that we can learn from the old school generation, but there's things that the old school can learn from our generation. My father was a business owner. The business it didn't work out the way that he wanted to, but he planted that seed in me. And because of the seed he planted, I am a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. But it started on a cotton field. College is not for everybody. Somebody said that. Yeah. It started on a cotton field. He attempted to change the narrative in his way. Now it's time for me to take over and change the narrative in my way. Next slide, please. Another one of my quotes. Proper perspectives prevents poor perception. Perspective is everything, and perspective will change the game. Working as a task force to heal future generations. Now, proper perspective prevents poor perceptions. I had to change my perspective on my father because the relationship is rocky. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. But I had to change the perspective. And I had to say to myself, what would have happened if my dad was afforded another opportunity? He wouldn't have been on drugs probably. And he probably would have been a better father. Not to say that he wasn't a great father. He did the best that he could. And I learned a lot from him. But as a kid, you don't know about perspectives. You don't know how to change the narrative because they were not doing that type of therapy. When I received therapy about my father's addiction, the guy was not a professional therapist. He was a therapist for Narcotics Anonymous. And what he said to me is, that is not your father. The drugs change your father. That's not him. That's not the true him. And that was very true. But I'm 7. I don't understand that. Nobody broke it down for me. So I turned my father into a demon because I didn't understand. Because nobody was talking about it. Now I'm talking about it. Because my generations, the generations to come, will not be impacted by something that I didn't do. I have the opportunity to change the narrative just as you do. Next slide, please. Healing starts with you. Change starts with you. Seek a professional therapist. It's cool to talk to our friends, our homegirls, our favorite cousins, you know, even grandma. Sometimes we can kick it with grandma, depending on how grandma is. However, you need to talk to a professional therapist so they can help you navigate and sort through some things. Sometimes if you go to other wounded people, they're going to give you their perspective. You agree with their perspective, and then you're still in a world of mess. You need someone to talk to who's non-biased. You need someone to talk to who understands theory, who understands different modalities and different ways to help you through this. Next slide, please. So, uprooting my lineage from clinician to be continued. To be continued is through Zay Manifest, my little guy here on the left. It will be continued through him. The cotton field started with Son Jones. The crack house was Leroy Jones. PTSD was Mastermind Issa Masterpiece. To be continued will be through Zay Manifest. The way that I heal, the way that I help my clients to heal, I have a creative approach. I use narrative exposure therapy. And basically what this is understood that the story a person tells himself or herself about their life influences how the person perceives, remember perception, how the person perceives their experience and well-being. Framing one's life story solely around the traumatic experience leads to feelings of persistent traumatic distress. Repeating the same story about what happened to me. And guess what? I am guilty of that. But I said that it stops today. I break up with it today. Because if we continue to repeat the same story, we're not getting well. We're furthering the dis-ease in our body. Another way that I use is cognitive behavior therapy. And cognitive behavior therapy is a type of behavior therapy in which behavior changes occur by learning to modify dysfunctional thought patterns. I need you to blow that up. Thank you. We need to understand that we have dysfunctional thought patterns because of things that has happened to us. If somebody touched you, you will have a dysfunctional thought pattern. If a parent left you, you will have a dysfunctional thought pattern, and so on and so forth. Once a person understands the relationship between thoughts, feelings, and behavior, they are able to modify or change the patterns of thinking to cope with the stressors in a more helpful way. The change in thoughts causes a positive shift in emotions, and change in emotions causes a change in the problematic behavior. We can heal if we change how we think, if we change what we say. Our words are very positive, powerful. We have to watch what we say. Next slide, please. From clinician to be continued. This is my little guy, Zay Manifest. And I use some of the non-traditional treatments with him. So hip hop spoken word therapy. He right now is working on some things, expressing himself about his biological father. So the way that we process that is hip hop and spoken word therapy. Now, I am not his therapist because you cannot be a therapist to your family, but it is up to me to guide him. If I have these tools, I have to guide him, and I will guide him. He has his own therapist, and she's great. But we do hip hop and spoken word therapy. He write lyrics, he write poems. And if you can see, can you blow the slide up, please? If you look at the picture, he's actually making beats. There's a picture of him on the microphone. He's recording. And then we do sound healing and meditation. So I'm teaching him to play the sound bowls. And he also sit and he meditates. And he learns deep breathing and ways to deal with his anxiety because he is very anxious. We also do phototherapy. There's a picture of him when he was a very little guy. And I was teaching him how to use a professional camera because I also do photography. I'm a photographer. So I'm teaching him these things because we didn't learn this. I didn't learn these different techniques in school. Thank you. I didn't learn these different techniques in school. So changing the narrative means changing the narrative through my seed, through my bloodline. Now, my name, Mastermind Issa Masterpiece. Next slide, please. I'll get to that. Can you blow that one up? Okay. So my name is Mastermind Issa Masterpiece. The reason that I changed my name is for several reasons. Mastermind means one who has mastered their mind. Issa means one who is strengthened. And masterpiece is one who has gained masterpiece as a result of mastering the mindset. I changed my name because I no longer wanted to be connected to the slave name. Words are powerful, and what you call me is powerful. I no longer want to be associated with, I'm a Jones. No, I'm a masterpiece. I have masterpiece. You become what people call you. Dear Tiffany, in 2020, you slowly started to die. The more you died, you heard mastermind rise. It's your time. Ashes to ashes and dust to dust. This was just my healing journey. I was never stuck. Just on my healing journey, learning to do what I'm supposed to do. I told y'all I was a shaman and I have the proof. Tiffany died and I am the mastermind, Issa Masterpiece. I am the progenitor of the Masterpiece family. It ended with Tiffany, but it started with me. I got the wisdom and then I was set free. I outswam the sperm that raced with me. Then I downgraded to a human being. Before my mama and daddy hooked up, I was allowed to be. But the human in them activated the human in me. Now I'm a human being conditioned to the system, telling lies about me. But it ends today because I know that I am me. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your attention, your time. Thank you so much for having me at the Minds Matter Conference. You can check out my website at www.thetherapeuticloft.com. I'm also on TikTok, Mastermind Issa Masterpiece. And my phone number, area code 248-798-6197. My email address is there. If you know anyone in the Detroit area, Metro Detroit area that need a therapist, please feel free to reach out. Thank you so much, Portia, for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Mastermind Issa. I think that was so powerful. And I just loved it when you said, like, you become what people call you, like, calling you a mastermind, and you talked about you changing your name, and then you start to internalize that and become just that. That is, and then your part about, like, you can't heal if you don't reveal. I mean, we're just all we all are stuck, and because we keep so many things just bottled inside. And we feel like we're not moving, we're not getting better, we're not getting better mentally, and we're not healing. Our health is not healing. Nothing is working because we won't just let go. And that is just, that is, I feel like that is kind of the moral to this story today. The moral to this event today you hit on, and it's great that we ended with you. You can't heal unless you reveal and letting go. And I just hope people just take that message, that you have presented today, and sharing your story about everything that your family has gone through, you have gone through. I thank you for just being so transparent.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, I will let you go. Thank you for supporting our mission and who we are and what we do. And just, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Mastermind Issa, thank you.
Thank you. Peace.
Yes. All right, y'all. We we are done. I mean, everyone's like, they love this workshop. Yeah, it was amazing. It was really good. Now that we are done, I hope all of you just take some time to complete the survey that we have. If you're seeing this on Facebook, please just give us some thoughts, which workshop that you liked. Did you like them all? How we can be better. That would be great. We need this information for, putting together our next Minds Matter next year. So again, also, if you like what you saw, we hope that you take part in, our sisterhood in some way. Drop us, your email and your name by signing up for our newsletter. That's also, if you're looking at us on Facebook, you probably saw a link where you can, sign up for our email. Sign up for our newsletter so you can stay abreast of our app that's dropping, our other events, and so forth. Register for our in-person event next weekend, mindsmatter.blackgirlhealthfoundation.org. It's also in the link. If you want to just support us because you like what we do and you want to donate, also donate to us. You can donate. We're a nonprofit 501c3, so a tax write-off for you. That link also is also in Facebook as well. I would like to thank again Dauphin County Library System for partnering with us for a fourth year in a row. They have been amazing partners, and we can't thank you enough. I would like to thank our presenting platinum sponsor, Highmark and Penn State Health, for being our platinum sponsor and supporting us. I would like to thank all the rest of our other sponsors: UPMC, Central PA, UPMC Health Plan, Hershey Entertainment Resorts, Aetna, Capital Blue Cross Giants, PHFA, everyone. Thank you. It's because of your support that we're able to also do this every year and impact the lives of so many people in Central Pennsylvania, one way or another, whether it's through their mental health, or maybe it's their physical health. We're inspiring people in some kind of way and giving them information and the resources that they need to make that big step, to make a different step, to change behavior, whatever it is. So we appreciate your support. Hey, my time is up. Our time is up. Again, I am Portia Grigsby. I am the founder and executive director for Black Girl Health Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us for Minds Matter Harrisburg, a fourth year in a row. Stay supporting us. We appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye-bye, everyone.
Black Girl Health Foundation presents Minds Matter Harrisburg in partnership with Dauphin County Library System. Presented by Platinum Sponsor for 2023, Penn State Health and Highmark. Additional sponsors include UPMC Central PA and UPMC Health Plan, Aetna, the Hershey Company, Giant, Hershey Entertainment and Resorts, Capital Blue Cross, and Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency. Now your host, the founder and executive director of Black Girl Health Foundation.
This is Harrisburg and Hershey. West Shore and Wyomissing, Lancaster and Lingelstown. This is hardworking people, growing families, and communities that look out for each other. This is celebrating life and Friday night lights. This is hope, heart, and heroes. This is who we are. This is how we lift each other up. This is the health we need to live the way we want. This is Penn State Health. Learn more at pennstatehealth.org.